Hamilton, Ontario, as we celebrate the newest members to be enshrined in Canadian football history. It's the Blue Bombers and the Tiger Cats coming up on TSN, the first of our doubleheader to wrap up Week 15.
Taylor Powell, everybody, always ask me, Matty, what do you think of this young quarterback? And I simply say he's got all the parts, and I love what I see, and he's getting better from week to week. Now, the wins and losses aren't piling up, but he certainly is getting sharper as the games go by.
Jacques, 6 straight touchdowns last week, and I'm certain this group is aware of their lack of success the last couple of times in the donut box here. Let's see how Zach flies around, and let's it fly today.
Tim White, a.k.a. the Jump Man is what they call him. He's been a monster over the last 4 games, averaging over 100 receiving yards a game and also 4 touchdowns. He's finally starting to look like Hamilton Tiger Cats' #1 receiver.
Talking about monster performances, you have to add this man to the list. Dalton Schoen saw pay dirt 3 times last week, looking for an encore performance on this very, very special day in Hamilton, Ontario. It is Hall of Fame Saturday, everyone, and we couldn't ask for a more perfect day here at Tim Hortons Field to celebrate some of the best in Canadian football. Kate Burness alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel. We will get the panel's thoughts on this game in just a moment, but for now, let us head to field level and join our Matthew Shinetti, who has more on the QB battle in today's matchup. Matthew?
The first thing I can tell you, Kate, is I'm not on the surface of the sun as I was on Labor Day. It is much cooler today. Such a beautiful September day for the Hall of Fame game. In terms of Taylor Powell, as Matt Dunnigan was talking about, that growth continues. 326 yards and 3 touchdowns. Certainly saw a lot of progress in Ottawa. Zach Collaros, 319 passing yards with 5 touchdowns against the Saskatchewan Roughriders in that blistering first half. And maybe, even though he's still young, Taylor Powell can look at some reflections of what he could have in his career when he looks at Zach Collaros. We asked Zach Collaros this week what kind of advice he'd give Taylor Powell. He said, be yourself, take the coaching. The one thing they share, both have been coached by Scott Milanovich, the offensive coordinator of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who's called Taylor Powell strong-minded. Let's take a look quickly at the defensive lines, because there are some changes for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Dylan Wynn is out, and Jagarrett Davis is back in for the Tiger Cats. On the Bombers side, Celestin Haba will go over to the defensive end spot for Jackson Jeffcoat. And you're talking about Davis, the kind of passing and touchdowns and scoring the Bombers have had. Well, Richard Leonard and Tunde Adeleke are out for the Tiger Cats in the secondary, so what will Zach Collaros, Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler and company do to them? And speaking of difficulties that the Bombers have had here, almost exactly a year ago, September 17, 2022, was 48-31 when the Bombers came here. Dane Evans had 5 touchdowns. It kicked off a 5-1 run for the Ticats to end the 2022 season. Kate?
Matt, that's the one thing that we continue to talk about is the struggles of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here at Tim Hortons Field. It has been 3 straight regular season games. Obviously, they were able to win the Grey Cup, the biggest game of them all here. But when it comes to the regular season, there's something about this field and Winnipeg, Mill. So this would be a huge win for them today.
I think the last time the Winnipeg beat Hamilton here, Zach was the quarterback.
That's wild.
Hamilton.
That's wild.
That's how long it's been. And of course, Winnipeg is the favorite because they are the best team between these 2 teams. But there's been something different here going on with these Hamilton Tiger Cats. For some reason, they've been able to find a way to beat these Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this game. It's going to be difficult. We talk about Zach Collaros and all he's done, what he did last week. We saw him bounce back after the Labor Day Classic and basically just put it on the Rough Riders. But hey, Taylor Powell, he's looking to one day become like Zach Collaros. We know Zach is a future Hall of Famer, and I'm sure Taylor Powell would love to be in that position. So these two guys are definitely going to control, for the most part, the outcome of this game.
You know, Milt, whether they're here at Tim Hortons Field or home at IG, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers calling card is establishing line of scrimmage with those big boys up front. And I'm excited because we get to watch one of the best, if not the best, in the Canadian Football League. Not only is Zach Collaros, but Brady Oliveira run the football. And I remember as a little kid going to the Cleveland Brown games with my folks, and you know, just going to watch Leroy Kelly run the rock. You know, it was worth the price of admission. You knew who was getting the football. We know who's getting the football today, and that is Brady Oliveira. And they got to establish that run. And to be here live in person to see it, feel it, hear it, to me, that gets me jacked up. And that's what today is all about, is good hard-nosed football, and Winnipeg trying to get rid of those ugly ways here in Tim Hortons Field.
You said it, man. They come out and want to run the ball. They're going to tell you they're going to run the ball, but can you stop it? And they embrace that, part of who they are. Tim White, to me, it was watching what he did last week.
Yep.
It was nuts. I think it was 8 or 9 targets, 8 receptions, and they knew the ball was going there, still couldn't stop him. Watching him, his release versus press, and watching his timing with the waggle. Him and Taylor Powell have something special going on, and the quickness that Tim White has shown. I know he's a good athlete, a triple jumper. Actually, not even a good athlete, a great athlete. A special athlete. But watching him get off the press, when I went back and watched him, I don't know how you get your hands on this guy. I expect, regardless of what happens in this game, I think Winnipeg wins this game. But regardless of what happens in this game, I don't know how they stop Tim White. I think Tim White has a big game.
At the beginning of the year, I said Tim White was going to be the leading receiver in the league. And he struggled early on, but you can see him now starting to find his footing. Of course, it hurts when you're playing with different quarterbacks, but it seems now like him and Taylor Powell are finally getting that chemistry together.
You know, it's a privilege being able to watch the game here, too, because his athleticism on display live is one of the wildest things I think I've seen in the CFL. And you know what? Riding a little momentum after that huge Red Blacks win, too, on 3-day rest. So we'll see what they can do now here at home. All right, as we've been mentioning, it is Hall of Fame Saturday here on TSN. Coming up after the break, we introduce you to the newest members of the Hall of Fame, including the legendary DB Larry Crawford, who's standing by and going to join us on set. That's next.
I've caught a lot of quarterbacks looking at me, and, you know, it's a fear. If I got an open look at the quarterback, I want to destroy him.
What a hit by Soloman. Elimimian. The guy is all over the place.
Just tackle. Just tackle. We don't know who you are. Keep walking. Keep walking.
Most outstanding player, the first and only ever defensive player to win that award.
Biggest thing I learned is the CFL. Everybody has promised to do the best you can and not take anything for granted.
Taking a look at the newest inductees into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, as you just saw, Soloman Elimimian. In 2014, Elimimian set a new CFL record for the most tackles in a season with 143. Joining him, Larry Smith, Jacques Dussault, Lloyd, Fairbanks, John Bowman, Josh Burke. We will have plenty more on everyone at halftime, and also a quick shout out, longtime CFL on TSN producer John Hines, the late great Grey Cup champion. TSN analyst Chris Schultz announces inductees into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame media wing as well. So much love to the both of them. And also Larry Crawford. During his time as a DB, he tallied 52 career interceptions, his league-leading 12 INTs back in 1983, still the 4th most in CFL history. We are thrilled to be joined with you here on set. Larry, first of all, congratulations on the honor of going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
And I must ask, how did it feel when you received the call saying you were going in?
Well, when I received the call from Matt, and he said, "Call Daddy," that's when I know. That's when I know the good news.
Good. Now I'm going to let let the other DB take this one, obviously knowing how hard the position is to play.
Yeah, like you mentioned, 5th all-time in interceptions, and when you retired, you were 5th interceptions. You were also 2nd in punt returns in history. That is unheard of. Guys aren't doing that. The ability to play corner full-time or halfback full-time and then return kicks. Why did you like kick returning so much?
Well, we needed kick returners, you know.
What made you so good at it?
Well, I trust my blockers. You know, the boys blocked for me. They did a great job.
Helped you with your ball skills in the defensive backfield, I'm certain?
Yes, I played receiver in high school, so I could catch the ball.
Right, just a playmaker.
A playmaker.
You're a beast, Larry. I'm just going to say that straight up. You're a beast, and I really feel like my career helped put you in the Hall of Fame because I threw you a lot of interceptions, my man.
Yes, you did.
And I threw a lot to Les Brown. I threw a lot to Rod Hill. I threw a lot to Larry Crawford, yourself, Paul Bennett. Those guys picked me off so many times, and I tell you, for young quarterbacks, you were a nightmare because you covered more ground in the area outside, and you broke on balls like you were in our backfield, in our playbook. What was that?
Well, Matt, back in the day on the Matthews, we played a lot of bump and run with the DBs, so we cut down the cushion of the receivers, and we had a top defensive line with the pressure.
Yep. Humble as I remember you, Larry.
I got a question, and I want to dig into your family. You are a great athlete, but let's talk about your kids, who I'm sure you're proud of. I talked about him yesterday. You have a son starting shortstop for the Seattle Mariners, but you also have 2 wonderful daughters who are also volleyball and softball in college. So we got to give a lot of respect to your wife. I'm sure she got the genes from them. But who is or who was the best athlete in the family out of all you guys?
Actually, the youngest one, Julia.
Okay.
She's the most gifted out of the 3 kids, and JP, he just tall, lanky, you know, and making money.
Right. And I know how proud you are. We talked about him yesterday. You got on your Seattle Mariners shirt today, so congratulations. Yes.
Well, I was going to say something to the Toronto Blue Jays last night, but
actually, no, go ahead.
My wife told me don't do it.
You can do it now. Go ahead.
One shot.
Go ahead.
So I told him, hey, you guys still in 4th place. That's it. So
that's a hot. That's awesome. Larry, once again, congratulations, and congratulations all the success of your family as well. A very special day for everyone, I assume. And congratulations, and have the best time celebrating with everyone.
Hey, it's an honor. I'm humbled to be here today.
All right, thanks so much for stopping by. Appreciate it.
It's an honor to give you the call, Larry.
Thanks, man. That's it.
A chance for him to pound it. Little Brady ball here, right?
A big one all the way down to the 30. Broke a few tackles, and they finally track him down. Running all over the Riders all day. Takes it outside. He's got some room. Inside the 10, 5. Just like that.
Establishing himself as the league's best back.
Brady Oliveira being a beast as of late, coming off a league high 154 yards, on pace for 1584 on this season. That puts him just behind John Cornish in terms of a Canadian running back. My goodness, he's been amazing. So here's a look at the FanDuel 5, the top 5 most staked touchdown props for today's Bombers Tiger Cats game. Brady Oliveira, shocker, is number 1. He's found the end zone 9 times for the Bombers so far this season. Dalton Schoen leads the league with 10 receiving touchdowns, 3 of which came against the Rough Riders last week. He is the 2nd most popular touchdown bet. James Butler, Kenny Lawler, Tim White round out the top 5 choices at FanDuel. Time now for the experts picked, and we start with the prop master himself, Davis Sanchez.
You know what, we talked about Brady real fast and how defenses know that they're going to run but can't stop him. I'm starting to feel that way about Tim White. Defenses know that that's where the ball's going, can't stop him. I got Timmy White to triple jump his way into the end zone.
There it is.
Now, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, because I think they're not so single-minded when it comes to the receiving corps. They got a lot of choices, and so it's kind of an iffy proposition here because you got Kenny, you got Wolatarski, you got Dembski, but I'm going with Schoen, who's leading the league in touchdown catches this year, and I think that's a given. Anytime you can find him, he just seems to find the end zone 16 times last year, and he's getting close again this year. The guy's a touchdown machine.
Yep.
Dalton Schoen.
Yeah, and I know Davis tends to think he's an expert, and I usually don't agree with him, but I got to agree with him on this one. I got to go with the jump man, too, Tim White. He seems to found his footing. He seems to understand what this team needs out of him, and I think because of that, we're going to see 1, maybe 2 touchdowns out of Tim White today.
I'm not going to lie to both of you. I had picked Tim White, but then I saw you guys got your text messages in first, so I had to mix it up slightly. So I went with James Butler instead. Ches, you like White, obviously. Maddie, as you mentioned, Dalton Schoen. Milt going with White as well. And Aaron Kronick, AK, he likes Kenny Lawler to find the end zone today. He is. This man has been sensational as of late. 15 catches, 290 yards, 3 TDs in his last 2 games. We are going to hear from Tim White right after the break.
I look at Tim White. You know what his skill set is, and they got to use him.
Looking towards the end zone to White, and he's got it. The bucket for Tim White. Away to the left. End zone. Tim White. Touchdown again.
I just put into my mentality that we weren't going to be denied. I just know when my guys give me an opportunity, I try to make the play, especially in fourth quarter situations.
And the Tiger Cats just starting our day. A little later on, the Red Blacks rolling into BC, trying to get a win in the province for the first time in a very long time. You can see kickoff of that game at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. But of course, our celebration continues here at Tim Hortons Field. Lloyd Fairbanks played 11 of his 17 CFL seasons with the Stampeders. In between 2 stints with Calgary, he spent time with the Alouettes and a pair of seasons with the Tiger Cats, a 7-time Division All-Star, 2-time CFL All-Star. He was also named his team's most outstanding lineman 11 different times. Welcome to the set, Lloyd. First of all, congratulations on being enshrined in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. You just mentioned you ended it all in 1991. What does it mean to you sitting here in 2023 being inducted into the Hall of Fame? I'm not calling you old, by the way. I'm not, I promise.
Well, I did turn 70 this year. Wow. It's actually a real awesome experience. I have 21 grandchildren.
Wow.
16 grandboys, and they're all football, athletic guys.
So this must be cool for them.
So this is awesome. I have 5 of them here today with me, and and the rest of them are really enjoying this. So it's awesome to be able to share that with my family.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're originally from Raymond, Alberta, about 2.5 hours from Calgary. How much of a great feeling it was not only start your career in Calgary, play a couple of years, in Montreal, unfortunately sometimes, but also finish in Calgary. How was that feel?
It was awesome. The last I finished up in Hamilton, and then I was called. I retired, and Wally called me up and asked me if I wanted to come back and play, and so I got to have 3 more years, and they treated me good. I was friends with all the coaches, and we were peers.
Yes.
And so they treated me a little bit different and kind of feathered me along to keep my age where it needed to be.
That's awesome.
Lloyd, I got to tell you, cutting my teeth in Edmonton, it was like Lloyd Fairbanks this, Lloyd Fairbanks that, and it was just like you were just collecting awards back then, and justifiably so. And you talk about being elevated within your family structure. 21 grandchildren, you said?
21.
And what's your moniker? What do you go by?
Grandpa.
Grandpa?
Papa.
Okay, all right.
Whatever.
Has this elevated Grandpa in their eyes? Do they know what's going on and what kind of a big deal this is?
They've asked for my trading cards now.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, well, from afar, I was always an admirer. Never got to play and be a teammate, but you're right there with the greats that you're alongside now, Lloyd, and it's great to see you here. In your mind, today's game, could you have played in today's game the way it's being played right now? Because, it seems a little bit easier because there's no head slaps, they've stopped a lot of the infighting and whatnot and kind of take some of the violence away.
I could play now maybe, but back then I never weighed close to 300 pounds.
Right. So, what was your playing weight?
I played mostly at 240, 245.
Wow.
In today's, but everybody that we played against were
James Parker and
he was
Bobby
245
Jurison.
himself.
Well, yeah, but he was fast.
Yeah,
and,
Bobby
you
was
had to have
fast.
some wheels to be able to play.
Hall of Famers too.
So,
You just named 2 of them right there.
That's exactly where I was going. You talk about James Parker. You were 11 times. You're a tackle now, so you had to be athletic. 11 times you're the team's most standing lineman as a tackle. What was your best skill set to be able to play at that high of a level for that long?
I have some pretty decent feet for a fat guy. So, and I used that to my advantage. I wasn't a big, strong guy. I always kidded that I used to lift weights by osmosis. I'd walk through the weight room and go right to the dressing room.
Where did the feet come from? Other sports?
I don't know. It just, I played basketball.
Okay, that's it. How are the hands today?
The hands are good.
Yeah.
Hands are good. Body's good.
Yeah.
One new knee.
Yeah.
And I'm righteous.
Fantastic.
Lloyd, congratulations once again on being inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. I hope you enjoy the weekend with you and your ridiculous amount of grandchildren.
Grandpa is a Hall of Famer.
Grandpa's a Hall of Famer, and everyone remembers that at home. All right, let's get back to Matthew Giannetti, who's standing by with Tim White.
Tim White, 7 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week in Ottawa. Milt Stegall has dubbed you the jump man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I never heard that one before, so hey, I'll take it. Thank you, Milt. Appreciate that.
We were talking yesterday about some real great receivers in this league, and I was showing you some highlights of guys like S.J. Green. As you were building your relationship with Taylor Powell, did you take a look at some of those clips, and did you get any inspiration?
I did, man. S.J., definitely a savage, man. It was glad you brought it up to me because I wasn't even sure about him, and now I see what he did, and he's a great guy.
And this growth that you're having with Taylor Powell, nothing can come down to one reason, but what's one growing part of your relationship, the chemistry you guys are building?
Just making sure we're locked in on the game plan, trusting the coach to call the right plays and then just dialing it up when it's time.
Thanks for this.
Sir, thank you.
It has been Tim White's breakout as of late. Taking a look at his receiving ranks over the last 2 weeks, receiving yards, 290 first catches, 15 first, targets 21. Obviously finding some very nice chemistry as well with Taylor Powell, which has been a huge improvement for this team. I mentioned too the win against Ottawa, and I get that Ottawa isn't the best team in the league, but coming off 3 days rest and then what happened here Labor Day, I mean, that was a gutsy victory. But just seeing what Tim's done and looking at those statistics, I mean, it is nice. He is going into his element at the right time this season.
Elite athletic ability and trust is a special combination. I feel like Taylor Powell and Tim White have that. They'll need that. There's some missing pieces in their secondary. They're going to need to score some points to get another win here tonight.
Yep. Yeah, and Davis, people talk about the slow start and how he's just amping it up right now, and a lot of talk about the different quarterback play, which is a definitive factor, and Taylor Powell just figuring it out for himself and realizing that I got this guy here. If I make him a focal point, everybody else is going to eat because they're going to be wide open, and I think it's the relationship there. You talk about trust, that's been developed, and you can see it happening on the football field, Milton. You know how important that is.
No one gave Hamilton an opportunity to beat Ottawa when they were coming off a 3-day rest. That was a confidence booster. If they can come out and win this game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, their confidence will be skyrocketing. They'll be walking on water, and that could possibly catapult them into the playoffs.
And for some reason, they're just not intimidated by the Blue Bombers when they come to town. 3 straight regular season victories, but we do know they did lose in the Grey Cup. That was back in 2021. Kenny Lawler, though, you know what? He makes fans everywhere around the league. We got kickoff between the Bombers and the Tiger Cats coming up on TSN.
Zach Collaros does it again.
He steps up in these big games.
Collaros down to Schoen again. A little magic from Collaros.
Taylor Powell, I want to talk about him. He's been a good pocket athlete.
First pass coming, looking towards the end zone to White, and he's got it. Welcome to the Canadian Football League, Taylor Powell.
Tiger Cats taking the field. It is the annual Hall of Fame game from Tim Hortons Field as we get set to celebrate some of the best in Canadian football history. It's the Tiger Cats taking on the Bombers, and the Tiger Cats QB Taylor Powell and Hamilton coming off was so excited to talk about Taylor Powell. Now I finally get to. Taylor Powell and the Tiger Cats coming off that huge road win over the Red Blacks. They have won 3 straight regular season meetings with Winnipeg here at Tim Hortons Field. Can they make it 4? Zach Collaros in Winnipeg, they certainly hope not. Coming off a monster game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a 51-6 win, 600-plus yards of net offense, looking for a little bit more today, and what it would mean to these Bombers to finally get a win here. Obviously, they won the biggest game imaginable, the Grey Cup, but regular season, this would mean a lot. Kate Bernass alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stiegel. Welcome to the Hall of Fame game on TSN, and a big matchup too here, Ches. We should think that the Bombers should roll away with this one, but history says something completely different.
Yeah, well, look, Richard Leonard and Tunde Adeleke, 2 DBs in that second. You mentioned how good Winnipeg was in the beginning of the game, offensively, and how potent they are. MOP, 5 wide across the board that can go. Let's see how they match up against some missing pieces in Hamilton.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to kind of encompass everything in a short period of time we have here, but when you look at this season in general, we've been blessed with great returners. We've got great punters and kickers. We've got incredible receivers and running games and offensive line play and D-line. We've got a lot of talent in this league that we cover from week to week. And I'll go back to my point earlier, y'all. I'm watching Brady Oliveira and how this guy rolls and what makes him tick and how many times he pounds a line of scrimmage, Milt, and doesn't get touched for 2.3 yards before he does. You know, to me, those things are fascinating to watch this ground and pound game of the Bombers.
The matchup I'm looking at is Winnipeg versus their past. And I talked about the last time Winnipeg won here, Zach was the quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, August 12th, 2017. If they get down early, will that seep into their mind like, uh-oh, we just can't win here? We can beat everybody else, but we can't beat Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field.
We'll be on the game, a very special day here in Hamilton, Ontario. We will introduce you to the newest inductees of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame at halftime. In the meantime, though, kickoff coming up next.
Welcome to the main event. Let the lights go down, and when the smoke clears, I'ma show you how. I can tell we gon' meet again. You leaving with a frown, me, I'm leaving with the crown. How you like me now? Welcome to the main event. Let the lights go down, and when the smoke clears, I'ma show you how. I can tell we gon' meet again. You leaving with a frown, me, I'm leaving with the crown. How you like me now? Welcome to the main event. Welcome to the main event.
Luck, Kevin, let's get you to the guys calling the game. It's Rod Smith and Dwayne Ford.
Thank you, Kate Bernass. Welcome everyone to Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field, not only the home of the Ticats, the home of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, which grew by 7 names officially last night. And the Bombers are here in this Hall of Fame game for the 2nd straight year, coming off a big victory, Dwayne, over the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Banjo Bulls. Zach Collaros not only had a game for the ages, a first half for the ages.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers in their first 6 possessions scored 6 touchdowns, 5 of those on passes by Zach Collaros as he posted his 5th 300-yard passing game of the season. So he continues to roll at the helm of that Blue Bomber offense. And of course on the other side, Taylor Powell getting the start once again. You see that career high 326 passing yards for him last week in Ottawa. And it's not just about the statistics, but the game in which he has graded out the best so far among his starts.
The head coaches know each other very well, former teammates and also Hall of Famers as players. Orlando Steinauer, part of the class of 2021, and Mike O'Shea inducted here 4 years earlier in 2017. The last time his Bomber team won a regular season game here. Of course, the biggest memory winning the Grey Cup here 2 years ago. Ticats Bombers, and Tyreek McAllister is back to receive the opening kickoff from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as the Hall of Fame game is underway. And that is up across the 40 for Sean Thomas Erlington on the return. And so on comes Taylor Powell, who seems to be getting better every game. His best performance coming in that victory, a narrow one against the Red Blacks in Ottawa last week.
Yeah, very impressive. Just the poise with which he threw the football. I think a lot of people felt like the Tiger Cats offense was going to be heavily run-driven, particularly after their win against BC. And James Butler had a big game in that one, but Powell looked good, looked confident throwing the ball down the field, particularly to Tim White last week.
White had a great game against the Red Blacks. 7 catches, 180 yards, couple of touchdowns, swinging out to Tyreek McAllister. Not only their star returner, but getting a lot of business as a slot back as well, as we take a look at that Tiger Cat offense today.
And we look at the offensive line once again. You have Murray getting the start at right tackle. Spent last season on the Indianapolis Colts practice roster after a previous stint in Hamilton. And of course, Tim White, the hottest receiver in the Canadian Football League. Right now, over 200 yards for him over his last couple of games. An absolute monster last week in the nation's capital.
McAllister picked up 4. It's a 2nd and 6 at the Hamilton 47. The Hall of Fame game just underway. And Powell throwing on that 2nd down. And he completes it too. And that is Terry Godwin on the receiving end. The new receivers with the Ticats in his 2nd year.
Yeah, Godwin lined up outside on this one, matching up against Demario Houston. Nice route, gets the hips of the DB turned. Ball thrown on time, nice effort. The Ticats out of the gate here.
And they were out of the gate fast a year ago in this Hall of Fame game. A year ago tomorrow, Dane Evans was their quarterback, threw 5 touchdowns in that stunning victory by Hamilton, 48-31 over Winnipeg. And now on the ground, it is James Butler. Speculation he wouldn't be able to play, a game-time decision, but there he is with his first carry and a short pickup on 1st down.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the Bomber D, you'll notice Jackson Jeffcoat out of the lineup this week. Celestin Haba, the rookie, gets the start at defensive end. Adam Bighill, of course, in the middle of the action. Veteran middle linebacker, big-time playmaker and leader for this team. And in the secondary, we talk a lot about the production of Demario Houston, the development of Evan Holm. Not enough is said about how good a player Dietrich Nichols is at that boundary halfback spot.
Butler got 2, 2nd and 8. Ticats, first possession of this game. As Powell gets rid of it and completes another one. It's Tim White with his first catch. Close to 300 yards in 2 games going Labor Day Monday and then against the Red Blacks in Ottawa last week.
And here you see White lining up out wide, working against Winston Rose. DB loses his footing, which allows White to gain a little bit of separation. They get him set up out to that side of the field. Create a little bit of space for their top receiver to work one-on-one.
So good drive going here for Taylor Powell to open things up. They're down to a 1st and 10 at the Winnipeg 27. As Powell stands under center. Hands it off to Butler. Finds some space. Brandon Alexander, the one to take him down, but not before a pickup of about 5 more yards. Mentioned those 2 weeks, Dwayne, for Tim White, and what a show he put on against the Red Blacks last week, but not bad numbers for 2 starts.
Yeah, no, he's been absolutely terrific. And you know, you heard Matthew Shinetti talk to Tim White in the pregame about that growing relationship between he and Taylor Powell as quarterback. And these are 2 guys who certainly have made their way onto the same page very quickly.
On 2nd down and 6. And Haba gets to Powell. Dwayne mentioned Haba coming in for the injured Jackson Jeffcoat, and he picks up his 4th sack of the season. Hasn't played in a while. It's his 7th game.
Yeah, you'll see Haba coming from the right side of your screen. He gets free here, and this is a guy, I've been intrigued by him since the preseason. Head coach Mike O'Shea talked about him as a guy who came into camp, was a quick study, learned things, learned the system in rapid fashion. And in flashes has definitely shown that he can be a very effective pass rusher in this league. Does a lot of different things well as a rusher. That one, of course, an easy one, as he was the unblocked man.
And Mark Leggio, the former Bomber, gets the chance to put the first points on the board, and he does from 32 away. Impressive start for the Ticats, but it stops with a field goal try thanks to that man, Haba, with his 4th sack of the season. Last week in the Banjo Bowl, the Bombers fell into a 3-0 hole against the Riders before the offense got on the field. And when that offense got on the field, historic. 6 possessions in that first half, 6 touchdowns, Dwayne.
Yeah, remarkable. Zach Collaros, of course, was on fire. 5 TD passes for him, 3 of them going to the Bombers' leading receiver. Dalton Schoen in that game. Schoen and Kenny Lawler both over 100 yards through the air.
So here is possession number 1. Brady Oliveira, talk about a brilliant game. He had the first touchdown on that onslaught against the Riders. He slips and falls on that first down carry.
There you see the numbers on the season for Zach Collaros. Back-to-back reigning MVP. Most outstanding player here in the Canadian Football League, the University of Cincinnati product. Began his career in 2012 as a member of the Toronto Argonauts.
Interesting note by the panel, too, talking about Collaros being Hamilton's starting quarterback the last time the Bombers won here. That was 6 years ago as Collaros completes that one for a first down. Winnipeg up across their own 50 to Dalton Schoen.
And Schoen just continues to produce here in his second season in the Canadian Football League. Zone coverage. Great view with the spider camera there of the gap between defenders. He's got a little bit of space to work. Just sits it down.
In his second year at Kansas State, Rookie of the Year in the CFL last year, and he has been terrific as a soft on the ground. Nick Dempsey with a rare carry as he gets it up across midfield. He had a quieter week last week with just a catch as we take a look at that potent Bomber offense.
Yes, sir, and along that offensive line, Patrick Neufeld, the right guard, the longest serving member of this Bomber offense, acquired from Saskatchewan in a 2013 trade. Nick Dempsey, we just saw him carry the football. Quiet week for him amidst all the offensive fireworks last week. Limited to just 1 catch for 8 yards. So looking for a big day from the University of Manitoba grad today.
He's had several of those. He has a pickup of 3 yards, a 2nd and 7 here. From the Hamilton 54. That one a bit too far for the intended receiver, Kenny Lawler. He had a touchdown last week in the Bengal Bowl. But it's 3rd down and 7 coming up here as the Ticat defense holds strong.
And you'll see Lawler work up, then across the field. He had Nick Dempsey going the other way, sort of clearing things out for him. But nice coverage from Kenneth George Jr., the first-year corner for Hamilton.
And McAllister is back along with Godwin. 2 returners back here for this punt by Australian Jamison Sheen. Standing inside the Winnipeg 45. Heading McAllister's way. As he's taken down there around the 24. Well, Powell's second possession. First one went down for a Ticat field goal in the Hall of Fame game. And the home side leads 3-0. Steady improvement for Ticat's rookie, Taylor Powell. First 3 games, Wayne, no touchdown, 3 picks. Look what he's done in his last 4.
Yeah, that 7-to-1 TD to interception ratio certainly stands out, and the growth is apparent. It's evident watching him, and certainly the numbers support it.
8 touchdowns to 4 picks overall. Last week, 21 of 32, 336, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in their victory over the Ottawa Redblacks. They do the reverse. It's Tim White with it. Heading to the right side, sweeping around as a first down and more. Tim White breaks free. And Demario Houston finally holds him down inside the Winnipeg 35.
I absolutely love the backfield action on this play to get the defense flowing to their right. Left side on your screen, you're going to see quarterback Taylor Powell goes this way, running back James Butler comes that way, as does the offensive line. You'll see Tim White coming back the other way, and the defense just unable to redirect. McAllister with that pitch route. Receivers doing a nice job blocking to turn that one into a big play.
52-yard gain to get it inside the 35. And on first down, just about a yard or so. But let's take another look at how that was all set up in the reverse to Tim White.
Yeah, and I had initially thought that it was Butler going left. It was Tyreek McAllister coming around behind, so looking like it was going to be sweep to McAllister. This is a great key breaker going back the other way, because so often you see McAllister in the backfield and you think he's getting the ball on some sort of receiver run or sweep.
Scott Milanovich about a month ago taking over from Tommy Condell as the offensive coordinator. 2nd and 8 now after just that 2-yard pickup. Powell's forced out of the pocket. He rolls to
job done here by Sean Thomas Erlington. First, it's a block on the end, knocks him down, and then chips out into the flat to receive the pass. That helps out. Boom. You done? Leaves his man on the ground, and then sneaks out into the flat where he's wide open to pick up the pass from Powell.
Powell 4 for 4, 60 yards, and they mark it right at the 10, so it is a 1st and goal. For the Ticats, up 3 and looking for more. Taken down after about 3 yards there. Ricky Walker in on the tackle. Butler himself last week in a quieter game compared to the weeks before, 14 carries for 35 yards against the Red Blacks.
And a lot of talk this year, of course, about how good Ottawa has been against the run, limiting Butler to 2.5 yards a pop. But Hamilton was able to adjust offensively and cash in with a number of big plays through the air.
2nd and goal. Here we go now for Powell. From the Winnipeg 6. Looks into the end zone. Touchdown. Terry Godwin. Caught it actually about the 2 and took it in. And this Tiger Cat offense has been all business so far in the Hall of Fame game.
Right the baby. Right the baby.
Look for Terry Godwin here. He's lined up tight to the line, to the box here, right next to the offensive tackle. Quick under, they're late to follow. And just that split-second delay for Demario Houston to get there as he's protecting the outside of the field. By the time he gets down to where Godwin is, the pass has been completed.
5 plays, 86 yards. In just over 3 minutes, the point after by Leggy on shades of the 2022 Hall of Fame game, where the Ticats scored early and often, stunning the Blue Bombers. Possession 2, and more points on the board. And a touchdown there for Godwin, his 3rd of the season, 10-0 Hamilton.
And an impressive touchdown drive put together here in the first quarter by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. A little bit of creativity on offense, different way to put the ball in the hands of Tim White. That's a 50-plus yard run. That was the biggest play. And then getting the ball to Sean Thomas Erlington, running back in the flat, pushing it deep into Bomber territory before Powell finds Terry Godwin. About the 2-yard line, he punches it in for the Cats' first major of the day.
So Leggio on the kickoff, taken by Jamal Parker for Winnipeg, as he gets taken down around the 37. Zach and that Bomber offense will go back to work. Of course, it is the Hall of Fame game. 7 new inductees, including that man, one of the greatest pass rushers ever, John Bowman. Matthew Shinetti will have more on his Hall of Fame career when we come back here at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. Simply put, he was a quarterback's nightmare. And now he is a Hall of Famer. More on John Bowman with Matthew Shinetti.
At the top of that list, Rod, is 134 sacks. That's 7th all-time for a defensive end, a pass rusher, and that will live forever in the Canadian Football League. Well, so will John Bowman's bust. And I asked him this week what it will feel like when he takes off that cover and looks into the eyes of eternity.
In my mind, I still haven't processed looking at it and, you know, the gravity of what it means. I appreciate everything I've done, and I never take full credit for anything I do. But I'm not going to be just looking at me. I'm looking at 21, 22 years of football. You know what I mean? Not just what I did in the CFL, but what I did in university, what I did in the indoor football league. You know, all of those players, I'm looking into those eyes too, because whether I remember their names personally or not, every player that I played with shaped me. You know what I mean? They did something to affect me into being here at this moment.
And speaking of the players that put John Bowman in this moment, he was thinking about guys like Billy Parker, who had an interception in the 89th or the 98th Grey Cup, who got him one of his rings. Alan Michael Cash, one of his best friends on the defensive line, and of course his twin brother, who Rod gifted one of his
Such a touching gesture, Matthew. Thank you for that. And John Bowman, of course, can't be here at this game today. Back getting ready with the BC Lions for the Red Blacks later today in this doubleheader. Collaros' last pass nearly intercepted. Deep look here. He's got Nick Dembski. And you know the Bombers are capable of this. They're down 10, but they strike fast. And with Dembski, they're down inside the Ticat 25.
Well, we mentioned Dembski had the quiet week last week, and you had a little bit of a sense that there would be a big bounce back here. Let's take a look first at the protection. Oliveira doing a nice job coming across the formation to help secure things, and a perfectly thrown ball from Jacques. Great adjustment here by Dembski, taking this one in over his shoulder for a massive gain down to the Ticats' 23-yard line.
A 50-yard gain. Collaros to Dembski. Down to the 23. And completes another one down near the 10 and still on the move. That's Dalton Schoen with another catch in this game. And another first down. First and goal coming up here for Winnipeg.
Well, it's been said so many times this year with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and that receiving core, there's just a plethora of riches. So many options for Zach Collaros, so difficult for defensive coordinators to know where to put their focus in terms of trying to shut down this attack. Just endless weapons across the board.
He kept chugging too after he caught that ball with Stavros Katsantonis on him. So here we go, first and goal, Brady Oliveira. Down just inside the 5 for Oliveira. Up against this Ticats starting defense.
Yeah, and that defense includes the former Bomber, Casey Sales, making the start at defensive tackle alongside Ted Laurent. And the linebacking Corsimone Lawrence, big game last week, 8 tackles for him, one of his more active games of the season. In the secondary, you heard Davis Sanchez mention this in the pregame. Both strong side or wide side starters in that secondary. Tunde Delake and Richard Leonard both down in this game. So it's Lawson and Woods getting the start. That's also the Ticats' 2 most experienced DBs by a wide margin out of this game.
You see on the right side of that D-line, Jagarrett Davis is in. Second and goal! Touchdown! Winnipeg! And it's Dembski who had the biggest play of this drive a couple of plays earlier, capping it off as the Bombers get right back into this game.
And Nick Dembski coming up big on this drive. You see him on the right-hand side of your screen, working out of the slot. He's going to work across the field underneath. Just a quick hitter, Collaros to Dembski for the major.
His 6th touchdown of the season. With the point after coming up here from Sergio Castilla. Castillo, it's heading right. And no, he missed it to the right. So they got 6 on the board, and that'll be it as it's taken out here by McAllister. And he's still going. Tyreek McAllister could pick up a couple of points here for the Ticats. So denying the 1 point, getting 2 points on the missed convert taken all the way back the other way. And there's a 3-point swing Hamilton's way after that touchdown, and it's a 12-6 game.
Well, that's it. As you said, 3-point swing, just as good as a field goal, and the ball is still coming back to your team. We've had an indication, as you see that one just wide right. And McAllister, closest the Bombers came was right here. Just as McAllister got past the goal line, then he had a lane all the way down that right side. Taking that one to the house. You know, it feels like it should be worth more than 2 points, doesn't it?
All that effort. I was going to say, he still does not have a return touchdown in the CFL, although he has found the house now for a couple of points. The head coach, Mike O'Shea, liking the fact that the offense quickly went down and got a touchdown, but likes nothing after that, I'm sure. McAllister, who leads the CFL in kickoff return average yardage.
We'll take one more look at the Nick Dembski touchdown. You see a motion from the backfield. Use that waggle. Inside position on the defender. And Collaros threads the needle.
And by the way, that earlier one, the 50-yarder, was the 10th of 30-plus to lead the way in the CFL this season for Nick Dembski. The return, after a long return for 2 points. Taylor Powell coming back on, and each possession has resulted in a score. First a field goal, and then a touchdown for the Ticats, who lead it by 6.
And you saw the trade-off there of Tariq McAllister having taken that convert back, missed convert for 2 points for Hamilton. He, of course, is exhausted, so isn't going to go right back out there on kickoff return. Injuries in the secondary led the Ticats to dress Lawrence Woods as a DB. He's their other returner, led the CFL in punt return average last year, so not a bad backup to have.
From the Hamilton 48. Alexander takes him down, but into Bomber territory at about the Winnipeg 51, and looks like it'll be enough for a first down on the ground for the Cats.
And you'll get a great look here once again from the Spider Cam on the vision and the patience of James Butler in the backfield to the right of his quarterback. Nothing up the middle, bounce, bounce, and then a nice cut inside to get north-south and pick up that first down yardage.
Last play of the first quarter is coming up. And a good quarter for Steinauer's Tiger Cats overall, as they have the lead right now. And they have the ball in the Bomber zone with Powell, the pass on first down, which he does, and he gets it down just inside the Ticat 45. 15 minutes in the books in the Hall of Fame game. And the Ticats make a good impression on offense before the Bombers come back. We're going to talk to one of the Hall of Famers coming up here in the CFL on TSN. 7 new members of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame inducted last night, including this man, one of the great offensive linemen in the history of this league and a staple for the Montreal Alouettes for years, including a couple of Grey Cups back in 09 and 2010. Jacques Burke, pleased to welcome him to the booth now, and let's talk about this. A moment that I don't know if you dreamt of, Josh, back in your playing days, but what did it mean to you, that the bust, everything else, the honor of being in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, well, I think they did a heck of a job with the bust. I think I look pretty good. I look pretty good 6 years later after retirement. But no, you know what, Rod? It was tremendous. Been a tremendous weekend. CFL has done a heck of a job putting on some really great festivities. Be able to enjoy with the friends and family, and just very humbled, man. Very humbled to be able to include myself in so many great names.
And one of those names that you're included with, former teammate, good friend of yours. I know John Bowman being there as well. What did it mean to you to go in the same time as John?
It meant a lot to myself, and I know John as well, just because we played many years together. So to be able to go in together was a very special moment for both of us.
Taylor Powell completes that one for a first down to Omar Bayless with 4 catches in his first start in the Ticats offense. But we got your reaction on camera, Josh, of seeing that for the first time. Have a look in the monitor here, and we can tell you liked it. And not everybody does, but yeah, you saw the likeness and you enjoyed seeing it.
Well, I got a little nervous before because Olivier, who used to be one of the media guys in Montreal, told me I'm going to be happy with the hair. So I wasn't sure if they're going to go with the old school hair, the long hair I had for a couple of years. And then I remembered that I took the pictures and sent them to myself. So it was awesome. Great to see.
1st and 10 at the Winnipeg 28. Taylor Powell, impressive start. That one goes incomplete. Intended for Godwin, who has the touchdown in this game for Hamilton. We flash back now. Josh Burke and some great Montreal Alouette teams, especially those championship years, I'm sure, that are the fondest memories of all. Beating the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 09 and again in 2010.
Yeah, it was a heck of a ride, definitely being out here today, it's been an awesome experience, and I certainly missed the game, but I missed the guys, right, and the camaraderie and all that. It's been great to connect with a bunch of guys this weekend.
Powell looked like he connected there with Keandre Smith, but does not hang on right down at the Bomber 20, so a 3rd down coming up, Mark Leggio will come on to see if they can turn this from a 6-point lead into a 2-score game.
Well, I know we talked a little bit about your football family, but your family, I know, was out in force last night, and I know your mom in particular, your biggest fan. We saw her in the stands often at Molson Stadium, but tell me what she's meant to your career and to share that with her last night.
Yeah, it was amazing. My mom has been there since day one, through all the tough times, the ups and downs, and she never missed a game at Molson Percival Stadium over the years. So it was great to spend that moment with her, and I share this honor with her. She's a huge part of it.
Jacques, Burke, all those scrimmages with John Bowman, and who knew then it was 2 future Hall of Fames. Congratulations, Josh.
Appreciate it.
And glad you could come up and join us now.
Absolutely.
Josh
Thanks
Burke,
for having me.
Hall of Famer, inducted last night here at Tim Hortons Field. We got a game, second quarter. Ticats leading the Bombers. Back here at Tim Hortons Field, the gang's all here. Hall of Famers too, except John Bowman, who's got a game to worry about later today. The Bombers, and that's in the hands of Rasheed Bailey on that carry inside. They're now trailing by 9 points after the latest field goal.
I'd love to see a receiver on the run dropping that shoulder going into contact. Rasheed Bailey delivers a blow there. Kenneth George did well to hang on and bring him down.
Last possession, big play to Nick Dembski. And a couple of plays later was a touchdown. Dembski missed extra point with it returned all the way for 2 for Hamilton. It's inside for Oliveira up across the 50. He only needed a couple of yards. He got that. And a first down for Winnipeg.
Well, Brady Oliveira continuing to have a tremendous 2023 season, particularly on the ground. You look at where he ranks in so many rushing categories. Yeah, he's the league leader.
Not much doubt about it. Just look at that row on the right. Yeah, he's first in a whole lot of things, and he looked like he was on a mission early in that game. The whole team did in the rematch against the Riders in the Banjo Bowl, making quite a statement against their biggest rival. The Winnipeg 51, Polaris escapes the pocket. He's being chased. Casey Sales, the ex-Bomber, after him as he's forced to throw it out of bounds, and a 2nd and 10 coming up.
Live to fight another down here. Yeah, Brady Oliveira, the rushing numbers obviously pop out at you, but he's been very good as a receiver and pass protection as well. And that's something that has certainly become a strength of his over the course of his career. Really noticeable this year.
Saw Casey Sales a moment ago win a couple of rings as a member of the Bombers up against his old team now, and that concern, number 20. It's a 2nd and 10 though at the Winnipeg 51 as Collaros to quickly throw. Wide open is shown, and he is knocked down inside the Hamilton 25 by Lawrence Woods. But the top receiver of Winnipeg finds a way to get open again, and another big play.
Yeah, and watch for Schoen coming from the right side of your screen, going into that big gap. Nothing but green field ahead of him. Collaros throws it into the space. Schoen goes and gets it for a big pickup. That's working to that wide side of the field, where, as Ches mentioned, a little less experience for the Ticats in what is not an experienced secondary to begin with.
You mentioned those changes on the wide side of the field with Woods in and Dexter Lawson in at field half, and Schoen coming into the week 2nd to Austin Mack in receiving yards in the CFL and 1st in receiving touchdowns. 1st and 10. Ticat 25. To the left, going up and getting it. Kenny Lawler. No, they say no.
Yeah, we'll take a look. Lawler lined up out wide on this one. Elevates to go get it. Into the body. If there was a point at which he trapped it, we couldn't see it from that angle. We'll see if there's anything different here. I mean, that
Winnipeg is challenging the ruling of a completed pass. We'll review the play.
Looked like he had controlled the ball, just a matter of if he had trapped it, as you said, but it looked like one hand was underneath as he went down. And it's a vintage style of Lawler catch, too. Going up and high pointing it. Decision coming up from the command center. Was this a catch or not? Kenny Lawler going up high on this one from Collaros. Looks like he had a control of it coming down, though, but it does touch the ground. And this is the ruling from the command center.
After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. Winnipeg will be charged a timeout.
Lawler doesn't like it. They had called it no catch because of that. And so the Bombers lose a timeout on that challenge, and it remains 2nd and 10 at the 25.
Yeah, and this is going to sound like a contradiction, but I believe that Lawler had control of this ball between his hands the whole time, but you can see why they have to call it a trap, because at one point, even though it's between his hands, that ball, the tip of it hits the field.
Pump fake. Collaros, touchdown! And look who gets it.
Take that.
The one denied the catch before gets a bigger one to put 6 more on the board for Winnipeg. Touchdown, Kenny Lawler.
Yeah, you had a feeling that Kenny Lawler would have his revenge. Get a look here. Watch for him down that right side. He and Schoen lined up on the same side. Double move in and up on Lawrence Woods, and over the top as they again attack that wide side of the field.
So Castile will come on and try another extra point. Missing his last one, the 5th one he has missed in 48 tries this season. And this one is straight through. So it's a 7 on the board total for Winnipeg, and 13 now within 2 of the Ticats, as Winnipeg once again proves its ability to strike quickly.
Yeah, and here you'll see Kenny Lawler on the outside. Comes up, sells that in a little bit, and then heads back upfield. Catches the DB flat-footed on that in move. There's the stutter and break. Turns it up. Lawrence Woods trying to play catch-up, but by then the ball is on its way. The touchdown pass, Zach Collaros to Kenny Lawler.
That was the 6th play of that drive, covering 70 yards in 3:17. And the Ticats offensively have taken their time going down the field effectively. Winnipeg not using as much time on the clock, but equally effective at this point now, just 2 points behind in this game, the difference being a missed convert returned all the way back to the end zone by Tyreek McAllister. Touchdown number 6 in the season receiving for Kenny Lawler. McAllister on the return. Well, he was the commissioner of the CFL for 5 years, instrumental as well in the Alouettes' return to Montreal starting in 1997. Larry Smith, now a Hall of Famer, and joined by Matthew.
Let me add a few more things to that list. The first overall pick in 1972, a running back who won 2 Grey Cups with the Alouettes. The commissioner, the president of the Alouettes, when they won a further 2 Grey Cups in 09 and 10. That's a lot. And you had a distinguished career off the field, but what has the CFL meant to you?
Well, it was a dream when I was a youngster. My goal was to be a Canadian running back who could start. I achieved those goals. Played with some great players, great coaches. Marv Levy was a super guy. And then to be able to go on to the commissioner's job was a great opportunity to try to make sure we could protect the survival of the league. It was so important, not for Canadians, but for everyone. And then running the Alouettes with Bob Whittenhall as the owner was just a great thrill because he gave me a lot of space. We had great support staff. We had great coaches. And really, we were able to follow a way of winning mentality, and at the same time do good things in the community. This is about community, the CFL, and it's a great strength to have, and I think we did a good job with it.
Talk about community. You were part of bringing the Alouettes back
in the mid-90s. How important is Montreal to the CFL? Well, I can tell you as a player, it was critically important to me, and as the president of the Alouettes and as the commissioner, we had to get Montreal back to create that stability. Bob Whitnall came in, David Braley was leaving, but David told me, I want to buy Toronto and BC when I come back. Make sure you stay close to me. That laid the seeds for the Ottawa group to come in, and then for the Toronto group to take over, and then for Bob Young to come into Hamilton. All these things laid seeds. So at a point in time, we had to do what we did, and we were able to do it successfully.
Love the passion. Congratulations, Lloyd.
Thank you very much.
Taylor Powell taking off here in the first down. Inside the 50, Winnipeg. Great to hear. I still think of him as the commissioner. Back in my reporter days, I had so many interviews with Larry Smith, and there he is. And I remember him, too, as a running back. Wore 36 with the Alouettes. He was a linebacker back then and wore 39 by the name of Wally Buono. And their old teammate Gordon Judges once told me their nicknames when they're players. Wally Buono's was the coach, and his nickname, believe it or not, was the commish.
Yeah, some pretty good foresight in that old Montreal dressing room, no doubt. But Larry Smith in particular, a lifetime spent bettering the state of the CFL and Canadian football in general. Just a tremendous career.
Absolutely. And the bust will reside here at Tim Hortons Field in the Hall of Fame of Larry Smith. Enshrined last night, an event that Dwayne Ford emceed, as he does every year.
That's one of my favorites on the calendar every year. Always great people involved, and terrific to see the inductees with their families, friends, support staff, etc. It's yeah, one of the best on the CFL calendar.
After the Butler carry, Hamilton has a first down in Palmer territory. There's a fake, and the intended receiver is White, and Evan Holm is covering him, and just beyond his reach, so it falls down for a 2nd and 10.
And pretty good matchup there between Tim White and Evan Holm, who has emerged as really one of the breakout players in the Canadian Football League this year, his 2nd season with the Bombers. Got to think, on a Winnipeg defense that includes Willie Jefferson, Adam Bighill, Demario Houston, this is the guy that leads this team in defensive plays made this year.
That's remarkable. Encompassing all the defensive stats of picks, knockdowns, interceptions, or mentioning that. Sacks, too. There's White in the receiving end. Winston Rose taking him down just close to the 25. This Holm is a bit of a bear hug on him there, too. But Hamilton on the move. Another first down for the Ticats.
Once again, good protection gives Powell time to set up and deliver to his go-to guy, Tim White. Just gets the DB running. Once his hips are flipped, breaks it off and comes back to that football.
1st and 10. Winnipeg 27, a 2-point Ticat lead. Butler left and gets inside down to about the 21 for one of the rushing leaders. 4th in the CFL in rushing yards coming into this game, James Butler.
Yeah, some ups and downs certainly in terms of production for James Butler and the Ticats running game this season, but a guy who is always a threat, and his presence certainly has helped Taylor Powell.
From the Bomber 21, Powell quickly off to the left to Tim White. Inside the 10 before he's taken down. Dietrich Nichols there along with Brandon Alexander. Down around the 5, and we have a 1st and goal coming up again inside the 5 of the Ticats.
And you see Taylor Powell's eyes close up there looking to Tim White right away. His first read on the play, he delivers a strike. Puts the Cats in great scoring position here at the Winnipeg 4-yard line.
Taylor Powell is 10 of 13 for 141 yards and a touchdown pass. That was to Godwin. 1st and goal at the Winnipeg 4. Looking for more. Butler. Down to the 3, the 2, 2nd and goal coming up.
The Tiger Cats standing in there swinging with one of the top teams in the Canadian Football League, the West Division leading Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You see the numbers And James Butler here in his first year in black and gold, riding over a quarter of their offensive yards.
Ticats' fourth possession. They've scored in the previous three. Driving, breaks the plane, touchdown Hamilton. Seventh rushing touchdown of the season for the Ticats, James Butler.
Yeah, a great look here right down the goal line. He just needs to break the plane of that front edge, field side edge of the goal line. He's got just enough. The official in perfect position to see it. There you'll see nose of the ball didn't get all the way into the end zone, but it's across that front edge to extend this Tiger Cat lead.
Hamilton's 4 possessions in this game so far. Field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. And Leggio looking to put the 22nd point on the board now for the Ticats. And make it a 9-point lead once again. James Butler finishes it off. And once again, we got a game in this Hall of Fame showdown. Pipes, who's seen the Bombers react quickly, but Taylor Powell methodically taking this Hamilton offense down the field all game long, and they're back to a 9-point lead.
Yeah, Taylor Powell has this poise about him that I think rubs off on the rest of this Hamilton football team, that with Winnipeg kind of surging back in this second quarter, obviously early in the ball game, but there's just no sense of panic in the Hamilton Tiger Cats. A team that's been through some struggles this year. They're playing with a level of confidence, and I think it begins with the guy under center.
There's Johnny Augustine on the return. He gets it up to the Winnipeg 40. Off the kick by Mark Leggio, and on comes Zach Collaros, 7 of 11 for 148 yards. He's got a couple of touchdown passes in this game.
Yeah, Zach Collaros certainly finding his stride in the second quarter of this ball game, spreading the ball around, a number of big plays to his variety of receivers. We've seen Dembski with a big one, Lawler, the most recent Winnipeg touchdown, Dalton Schoen finding his way down the seams a couple of times in this ball game. Extra O-linemen in the game right now. They often use maximum protection sets.
Feeling his way through up across the 45. With the 3-minute warning officially coming up, 2:52 in the clock until halftime, and we'll hear a lot more from Kate and the panel on site here in the Hall of Fame game in Hamilton.
The panel live on location, so we're using all the toys we possibly can. It is the panel on the Spider Cam. We're coming up at halftime. We'll introduce you to the newest inductees into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Can't wait, Rod.
Thank you, Kate. We've had some excellent looks. Spider Cam, you talk about that. The drone shots way above Tim Hortons Field. Beautiful looks. There it is. Our director, Andy Boyukas, and he's got all the toys at his disposal and just some great shots from everyone here.
Is that a drone? I was told that was the TSN blimp.
Yes, the TSN blimp. 2nd and 6 at the Winnipeg 45. Deep again. Dembski inside the 20. They strike fast, they strike big, and they strike again to get it close as halftime gets near.
Yeah, why waste time answering the Tiger Cats touchdown? Let's just get down there in a hurry. Nick Dembski matched up against the nickel linebacker, Chris Edwards. Out in space, Dembski gets in behind for a monster catch, and you know, not to get off on a tangent in the middle of a drive here for the Blue Bombers, but you know, can we not have a system where Brady Oliveira and Nick Dembski can both be finalists for the most outstanding Canadian? Just say it. I've said it for years.
I hear you. All that Canadian talent. Don't look. Let's not kid ourselves. There's great Canadian talent all over the league, but those two, wow. And Dembski, big one, 56 yards. And here's Oliveira's turn as he gets it inside the 5. That catch by Dembski. That's now, he leads the way. It's now 11 times this season a catch of 30-plus. What a year he's having. Already over 100 receiving in this game after, as you point out, only 8 yards last week.
Yeah, and I think there's a great understanding amongst the Winnipeg Blue Bombers receivers that there's only one football, there's lots of good players, but being surrounded by other good players in the receiving corps, while it may mean that sometimes your opportunities are limited, those guys are also going to create space and therefore opportunities for you. You're all going to have your turn, and Zach does a great job getting everybody involved.
So here come the Bombers. Second and goal. And down goes Collaros. Taken down, Stavros Katsantonis. Hamilton blitzing coming in, and a big defensive play for the Cats as the field goal unit will come on.
Yeah, Stavros Katsantonis, the free safety. You're going to see him come from depth. On this one, he's going to sneak up from behind that goalpost into the play. He's hiding back there. Hits the A-gap, unblocked, timed it perfectly. Second sack of the year for the UBC product. Katsantonis, a great story to me is this is a guy who now in his third year, but led the Tiger Cats in special teams tackles last year and has basically created a situation where he's earned his way onto the field. They had to get him in that lineup.
Puts it down. Castillo puts it through just outside the 20. So 3 more on the board. And these offenses have been trading as we're down to a 6-point Tiger lead. Still time. 1:27 in the clock. There's Katsantonis who had a pick in Ottawa last week and won but 4 days earlier on Labor Day Monday here against the Argos. 3 interceptions on the season. 1 for a touchdown in Edmonton.
And as a young DB in this league, obviously some pretty good mentors on that Hamilton Tiger Cats sideline. Head coach Orlando Steinauer. And of course, defensive coordinator Mark Washington. Former DBs in this league.
Steinauer had to coach in 2 Hall of Fame games as they made up for one delayed by COVID in 21, his class, and that was back in June of 22, over a year ago when he was officially inducted, class of 21, as a player. Powell to take off, and not much room there as he's taken down after a pickup of 1 or 2. The chance to talk to these Hall of Famers, to Larry Smith on the left and Lloyd Fairbanks and Soloman Elimimian. We're going to have a chance to talk to him later. Jacques Dussault, Larry Crawford. There we see Josh Burke in there as well.
Yeah, John Bowman represented by his pops here today. John had to get back.
John's dad, yes, in between there beside Burke and John Bowman's BC Lions getting ready for the Ottawa Red Blacks. Part 2 of the doubleheader later from Vancouver. Pursued by Ricky Walker. Gets rid of it and completes it to Bayless. Omar Bayless. Winston Rose prevents him from going any further. Bayless in his second start at receiver, replacing Duke Williams. So there they are.
And we've mentioned a couple of times John Bowman not here today because he had to get back to BC. Of course, the defensive line coach for the BC Lions. And I love the unique makeup of the unit that he coaches. John Bowman played his entire career in Montreal. His D-line group includes 4 young guys from the province of Quebec on D-line and his former teammate Woody Barron. This is a group he's talking to. There's 4 guys who grew up watching him and a guy that played beside him.
Real Montreal symmetry there on the Lions D up front, which has been outstanding this season, as was their head coach, or their defensive line coach. But as a player, John Bowman is honored with induction into the Hall of Fame. So Cats have to punt it away. Half a minute to go. And on the return, that's Jamal Parker with a flag coming down. And the way Collaros works, 27 seconds. That's enough time to work your way down the field. They've shown that.
Yeah, I wonder if we might get a no yards call here that shorten the field slightly for the Bombers as well.
Mike O'Shea, remember when he was inducted back in 2017 for his his great playing career that actually started here in Hamilton. Later
illegal interference. Hamilton, number 43. 10-yard penalty. Be a first down.
Great special teamer, Carthel Flowers Lloyd, the special teams tackles leader in the CFL, is flagged on that one.
Yeah, he was on his way to being the first man down the field, and a blocker was in front of him with his back turned, hadn't turned to block yet. Flowers Lloyd gave him a chuck in the back, knocked the blocker to the ground, try to open up his path. So that's the illegal interference call. It's going to give the Bombers a slightly shorter field with which to work here.
Up to the 37 they are right now, or let's see, they put it back to, they just moved the sticks now back to the 33. That, by the way, was the first punt by Corey Vedvik of the Ticats. Did you look at the penalty?
Yeah, you see Flowers Lloyd as usual leading the way down the field. Cranby, the man in front of him, was getting ready to turn and block, but didn't get a chance.
Under a half minute. Short pass off to Dembski on the right. He gets out of bounds up near a first down for Winnipeg. 20 seconds to go until halftime.
Well, you know, Sergio Castillo has a big leg. 53. His longest field goal on the season.
Quickly again to the right. Rasheed Bailey is down shy of the 50. Just needed a few inches to get that first down. They get that 16 seconds. Each of these teams has punted only once in this first half. Offenses have been moving the ball. As the Bombers will try to get a little closer before halftime. Three-man rush. And it is dropped there, incomplete, intended for Oliveira. 9 seconds to go.
And maybe for the best, as the Bombers are trying to manage the clock here, that a completion in the middle of the field where they may have a tough time getting out of bounds to stop the clock, or would otherwise have to run a lot of time off to get to the sidelines. Well, it creates second down.
I think they need at least 20 yards here. 9 seconds. Four-man rush. Over the middle. Down goes Bailey, and that's right about the 40, and that's in the range of Castillo. 4 seconds to go as the Bomber kicker will come on the field. See if they can make it a 3-point Ticat lead at the half.
Great execution here. You're going to see Nick Dembski clear out first. He goes deep, and then Bailey kind of comes in behind him into that space vacated by the defenders following Dembski downfield. Terrific focus on that football from Rasheed Bailey as he takes the shot there from Jameer Thurman, the middle linebacker.
Castillo's only missed 2 all season. The longest of 53. Twist from 48. And it's wide left. And McAllister will bring it in. Remember what he did on the missed extra point? Here we go, McAllister with blockers ahead, and he is knocked down on the final play of the half, but not before a rather dangerous ending for the Ticats. Happily taking a 6-point lead into the dressing room. And standing up to Winnipeg again, the Bombers, understandable favorites coming in, but there's something about this game and this place as the Ticats have certainly made it interesting through the first 30.
Well, they sure have. The Hamilton Tiger Cats suggesting that the standings and anything that happened in weeks previous means absolutely nothing here today. They came out swinging. They've been terrific through the first half of this ballgame.
Impressive showing. They didn't punt the football. Ticats offense really rolling well until the final possession as Taylor Powell went 11 of 14 for 147 yards and 1 touchdown pass. Standing by now with Matthew Shinetti.
Although the Bombers missed a field goal there, you are in a tight game. How important the detail is going to be coming in the second half?
We just have to keep being us and execute the second half. That's it.
How good has your offensive line been? How have you seen kind of improvements in their blocking?
Incredible, man. They're blocking their butt off. People are giving chips and nudges. It's been really good.
Thanks, Taylor.
Appreciate you guys.
Not a lot of words to say from Taylor Powell because you know he's focused. Kate, Hamilton's up 6, but it could be a real entertaining second half.
And back alongside Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Siegel, and as Rod Smith said on the broadcast, there is something about this game. There is something about when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers roll into Hamilton and take on the Tiger Cats that Hamilton just ups their game, and that was certainly the case in the first half. They're currently up by 6. We expect a very entertaining second half. And let's start with Tim White. Look, we gave him all the love in the pregame show, and rightfully so. He has been phenomenal the last 2 games, carrying it into this one today, already making a huge impact, Milt.
Yeah, Timothy is Himothy. He is him. He's making plays, and we always talk about how great of an athlete he is, but we've seen great athletes step on the football field and not be able to translate their athleticism into a good football player. That's not the case for Tim White. He's a great athlete, but even more important, he's a great receiver, and you can see the way they utilize him. They're doing everything to get him the ball, and he's taking full advantage of it. And if I'm the Hamilton Tiger Cats, I'm going to try to give him the ball even more. He can do so much with the ball into his hand because of his athleticism. We always talk about how he's a world-class triple jumper, and you can see some of those triple jump traits when he gets the ball in his hand. So in this second half, I'm thinking 10, 15 touches, whatever it may be, get the ball in his hand if they want to have an opportunity to keep this lead and win this game.
Yeah, from one guy, a receiving core who looks darn explosive, everybody knows he's explosive, to another guy that I don't think folks give enough credit to for their athletic ability, and that's Nick Dembski. And I was talking to Buck, I think it was 2 years ago, and I was asking him about his receiving core, and I was asking him who the guys that can run, who are his fastest guys, and it was either the first or second guy he named was Dembski, and I said, hold on a minute, hold on. I had to double check. I said, and he explained to me, he's like, you don't think Nick's fast. He's way faster than we think he is, and especially carrying his pads. And I think that happens a lot with defensive backs don't realize how fast he is. One thing he does really well when I watch him run his routes, he keeps it vertical, and he makes those DBs commit. There's no leaning. He attacks you vertically until you commit, and once you commit, he either snaps off the corner, he snaps off the post, and Zach is obviously excellent at that deep ball.
Yeah, fundamentals. And, you know, Bill, you talk about Tim White, justifiably so, and a lot of talk about over his last 3 games. And it's no doubt, and it's no coincidence that the numbers for Taylor Powell, the first 3 starts, 0 TDs to 3 picks. The last 3 starts, 7 TDs to 1 interception, because he's found him some Tim White, and I keep feeding him the football. But I got to credit, you talk about Hamilton having the Bombers number. I got to say, coaches prep too, and Mark Washington has got his defense dialed up. Yes, they've been gashed for a couple of big plays, but there were some plays missed on the football field in that first 30 minutes by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and this score shouldn't be close right now. Jaguar Davis fell off into coverage on Dembski touchdown. He should have had a interception right there. Jameer Thurman missed a dig right across the middle. That should have been another pick and points off the board. And he saw Casantonis take 4 points off the board on a blitz down there, and they had to kick a field goal. To me, Mark Washington's got his defense dialed up, and his football team's playing solid football, and that's why they're ahead
with 2 pieces of a secondary out, even more impressive.
Crazy.
Yeah, fantastically entertaining first half of football. Coming up, we are going to introduce you to the newest inductees into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Don't go anywhere. Well, here at Tim Hortons Field, they are honoring the newest members of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. The inductees were enshrined last night, and a celebration going on right here at midfield. First up, Josh Burke. He joined the Montreal Alouettes back in 2007, and in 2008 earned his first CFL All-Star honor. He was named the CFL East Division All-Star in 6 consecutive seasons and was named the league's most outstanding offensive lineman back in 2011. He was a member of back-to-back Grey Cup winning Alouette teams from 2009 and 2010 before electing to sign with the Double Blue as a free agent in 2016.
Yeah, a key part of those powerhouse Alouette teams, Josh, and a great athlete and a big anchor for Anthony Calvillo on that back-to-back 2009-10 team.
John Bowman, meanwhile, played 14 seasons for the Alouettes, earning 9 East Division All-Star nods and 2 League All-Star honors. Bowman helped the Owls win the Grey Cup in 2009 and again the following season in 2010. He's the Alouettes' all-time franchise leader with 134 career sacks, 7th all-time in the CFL. Following his retirement, he joined the Lions staff as their defensive line coach.
230 regular season games with the same team. Outstanding. His best year happened in 2015 with 19 sacks, and that was the year they put him down for a healthy scratch. John Bowman, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Larry Crawford played 9 CFL seasons for the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts. He was named a Division All-Star on 5 occasions from 1983 to 87 and a CFL All-Star 4 times during that period. During his time as a DB, he tallied 52 career INTs with his league-leading 12 interceptions in 1983, remaining the 4th highest single-season total in CFL history.
Yeah, Kate, he should be locked up because he's a criminal, because he was a straight-up thief when he played, and he was tough on young quarterbacks because he just kept picking us off left, right, and center. It was like every time out, Larry Crawford was there.
Jacques Dussault, following his playing career at the University of Ottawa and McGill University, he began coaching high school football back in 1975. The Quebec City native was named DC in 1982, making him the first French-speaking coach in CFL history. Following 5 seasons with the Alouettes, Dussault coached at Acadia University and Mount A.
Got a lot of love for Jacques Dussault, always advocating for Canadians. He was a pioneer as the first French-speaking coach in CFL history. A great man.
Soloman Elimimian. In his 2014 season, Elimimian set a new CFL record for the most tackles in a season with 143. He was named the CFL's most outstanding player and the CFL's most outstanding defensive player. A 4-time CFL All-Star, 6-time West Division All-Star. He finished his CFL career in Saskatchewan with the Rough Riders when he helped the Green and White finish first in the West Division for the first time since 2009.
Only CFL player in CFL history to win 3 different CFL awards. Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the only defensive player to win MOP, Soloman Elimimian.
Lloyd Fairbanks played 11 of his 17 CFL seasons with the Stamps. In between his 2 stints with Calgary, he spent time with the Alouettes and a pair of seasons with the Tiger Cats. A 7-time Division All-Star, 2-time CFL All-Star. Fairbanks was also named his team's most outstanding offensive lineman 11 different times.
Absolutely crazy, Kate. 17 years. Now he's got 21 grandchildren, and they're all proud of Pops, Grandpa, as they should be, because Lloyd Fairbanks, perennial All-Star, every year brought it, undersized, made it happen every time out on the football field.
Larry Smith, drafted 1st overall in the 1972 CFL draft by the Alouettes out of Bishop's University. He spent 9 seasons in the Alouettes backfield, winning Grey Cup titles in 1974 and 1977. He was then appointed after his playing days the 8th commissioner of the CFL in 1992. He helmed the league through a significant time of transition, first during its expansion into the United States, and then as the Alouettes returned to his hometown back in 1996.
Maybe one thing you read on his right up here would be Hall of Fame worthy, but he was a 1st overall pick. He was the commissioner of the league and then the president of the team, maybe the most dominant era, definitely most dominant era in Alouettes history. Very impressive and a character. Love you, Larry.
And just a quick shout out as well, longtime CFL on TSN producer John Hines and late Grey Cup champion TSN analyst Chris Schultz were announced as the inductees, by the way, into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame media wing. Congratulations, Hinesy. Congratulations, Schultzy. We love you both. Well, look what we have here, Milt Stiegel. The Hamilton Tiger Cats up 22-16. The question is, can they keep it rolling in the second half?
You know what, Kate? I love this first half. This is my type of game. Almost 500 total yards, only 2 punts, only 1 penalty, no turnovers. Can the Hamilton Tiger Cats keep it up? Can the Winnipeg Blue Bombers keep it up? I think so, Kate. Looking forward to this second half.
It has been 3 straight at-home victories here at Tim Hortons Field in the regular season by the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Can they keep the streak going? We will find out right after this.
A beautiful look Tim Hortons Field, halftime of the Hall of Fame game, and the Ticats lead by 6, but the Bombers have been explosive. Nick Dembski, 4 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown, standing by now with Matthew Shinetti.
There's so much, Nick, to this offense, but how much do you and the receivers love the long ball?
Love it, man. I mean, as receivers, that's what you live for, you know? Obviously, you want to go out there, run underneath the ball, make a big play, you know, spark the team up. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of gritty work being a receiver, too.
To the point of that gritty work, they've made a lot of changes in their secondary. Anything you think you could exploit in the second half?
I mean, you know what? Obviously, try to get after them big plays, but we just got to stay on the field, man. You know, keep their offense off the field and just do what we do.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Well, the Ticats jumped out to the early 10-0 lead, and they had a stretch where they had scored in 4 straight possessions. But, Dwayne, after an opening punt for Collaros and the Bombers, they have had touchdown, field goal, and missed field goal to close out the half.
Yeah, well, and it's the way that they moved into position to score those points. And you heard Matthew and Nick Dembski allude to it in that interview, the long ball. I mean, you look at the time of possession in the first half of this football game, it's like 18 minutes to 12 in Hamilton's favor. But that's because Winnipeg's getting it done with the big play, and we'll kind of see how this second half plays out as to whether it's Winnipeg's defense maybe being on the field for a long time or Hamilton struggling to stop that big play. We'll see which one wins out.
Tyreek McAllister has the ball and has a return going across the 40 before taken out by Evan Holm. As McAllister had a misconvert return all the way to the end zone for 2 points in the first half. Here's Taylor Powell's first half, Dwayne.
Yeah, and playing against a strong and experienced Winnipeg defense, Taylor Powell continues to look mature and poised beyond his years, and you definitely get a feeling when you have the opportunity to talk to Taylor Powell. He even acknowledges he's something of an old soul, but I would describe him as a young veteran in kind of the way that his mind works, the way he thinks the game. He's really settling in quickly here in his first season in the CFL.
It really is a good way of putting it, because his demeanor is like he's been there before. Very modest, too, as he completes that one. They've gone to start off this second half with a completion and a first down for the Ticats up around midfield.
And Terry Godwin getting involved off the hop here. Little play action look with James Butler in that backfield.
Godwin with 3 catches for 38 yards. First and 10, just shy of midfield. Ticats start the second half with a 6-point lead. James Butler going left and going nowhere too. Willie Jefferson in to help out. It's Jake Thomas, the tackle. And Bo Levi Mitchell, who was the #1 quarterback coming in, got hurt twice actually this season. First giving way to Matthew Schultz, and then giving way to Taylor Powell. But with all those career passing yards, but frustrated that he's charting right now and then not able to play. Not sure when he's available to play again, but he must be impressed too with the progression of young Taylor Powell.
Yeah, and a guy's Bo who would understand the importance of the tutelage of some veteran quarterbacks around, as he had that early in his career in Calgary.
Out of the pocket, Powell goes on a 2nd and 9. Doesn't run often, but runs effectively and does there for a first down for the Ticats again. Down around the Winnipeg 45.
And this is one of the things that's been fun to see with Taylor Powell, is a guy comes into the league and you don't know much about him. Some of your evaluation is just based on statistics in college. This was a guy who didn't have a lot of rushing yards in college, and you get the impression that he's not a mobile quarterback, that he's going to be a stand in the pocket guy, a bit of a statue. But Powell has demonstrated that he's definitely not, and often it's just about opportunity and what the system asks you to do. And here he has an opportunity to run the football. He's asked to do that occasionally. As you've said, Rod, he's done it effectively.
Came off the bench for Matthew Schultz back in week 6. Making his 7th start in his young CFL career, handing off there. A record of 2-4 as a starter, but as mentioned, he has progressively improved with each start. 12 for 15, 158 and a touchdown pass. Short gain for Powell, so another second and long coming up for Butler, excuse me. Here's Scott Milanovich, who heard Matthew Shinetti talking about this earlier in the show. Of course, it worked with Zach Collaros years ago when he came into the league. And now is the OC in Hamilton working with Powell, who bobbles that shotgun snap and recovers, and still gets away from Willie Jefferson, rolling to his left and looking deep. Deep down inside the 5, and was close, and a flag comes out. Intended for Omar Bayless, and a big interference call is coming up.
Pass interference. Winnipeg number 17. Corner foul. Automatic. First down.
And this is a tough one when you're a DB. When a play gets extended to this degree, Taylor Powell on the scramble goes right, curls back left, and then throwing the deep ball. Tough for any defender to stay with a receiver that long. Cramdy trailing Bayless on this one, looking to make a play. You saw him sort of grab the left hand as the ball was en route. Watch him reach. Affects the left arm of the receiver. Official in perfect position to make that call.
And a 40-yard penalty. Bayless, the intended receiver. First and goal inside the 5. Powell. Butler, 3, 2, down to the 1. He had barely broke the plane in the first half for a touchdown. A second and goal is coming up. Didn't quite get there. As Kyle Loxley, short yardage quarterback, will come in. The odd quarterback numbers for these Ticats is 0 and an 89.
Well, and they had Mike Glass in the 30s before Matthew Schultz came back.
Pushing, touchdown. Loxley takes it in for his second touchdown of the season as a Tiger Cat.
Great look from above here. Finding a bit of a gap to the right. Loxley powering his way into the end zone, extending that Cats lead to double digits.
As the Ticats start the second half, much the way the first half played out, a 7-play, 67-yard drive for a touchdown, aided in large part by a 40-yard pass interference penalty. Mark Leggio, first couple of seasons as a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, is first in Hamilton and has that point after as the Cats increase their lead again. Touchdown, Loxley. On Craig. Jared Godwin, Kyle Loxley. Talking it over after the latest Ticats touchdown. That has put them in front 29-16 now. Jamal Parker on the return, and coming in quickly to take him down is Jonathan Convo on special teams. Fired up Hamilton club at home. Underdogs against this club, just like they were a year ago, but they're certainly making a statement so far.
Yeah, Zach Collaros, after a big first half last week, has a big first half this week. Nick Dembski, the prime beneficiary, but Collaros is always getting all of his weapons involved. You see Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler as well, making big plays in that first half. And big play, certainly the theme for Winnipeg in the opening 30.
Tremendous first half. 16 points on the board, and they're trailing. And Collaros, with time, goes to work again, and he completes it across the 40. First catch of the game for Drew Wolotarski. Gets it up to the 50, and a big first down as Winnipeg's offense looks to answer back.
And here you see again extra offensive linemen in the game to the left. They go max protection, allowing this play time to develop. And Wolotarski, maybe sometimes the forgotten man in terms of the hype and publicity of this receiving corps, but he too approaching 500 yards on the season. That's his 33rd catch of 2023.
Collaros working the wide side on that previous play where there were changes in the secondary for Hamilton. Brady Oliveira, another big carry for number 20. Another first down in the Ticat territory inside the 45.
And it's not all by air, of course, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have the leading rusher in Brady Oliveira.
Collaros, they work tempo, and that one in behind Dembski, and it falls incomplete. Second down. We talk about those first halves. I mean, one for the ages last week in the Banjo Bowl, and this one isn't bad too. Look at these first half numbers in the last two games. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you patch those two first halves together, and that's a pretty good look at 60 minutes of football from Zach Collaros. You see the QB rating at the bottom. Not expected to be any better.
Adds up to 1 60-minute game, those two great first halves, especially last week with 5 touchdown passes, but not too shabby so far here. And this offense is being challenged to keep up to Hamilton as he looks deep again. Watch Dembski. No, falls incomplete with the coverage there by one of the newcomers in the secondary for the Ticats, Dexter Lawson, number 14.
And you'll see the frustration from Nick Dembski as this ball hits the ground, because I think his feeling was whether he misjudged it or maybe with the defender on his back that it kind of brought his momentum further towards the sideline than he wanted. A bit of a missed opportunity there. Would have been a tough catch, obviously a contested catch, but Nick Dembski makes plenty of tough and contested catches.
Jamison Sheehan back to punt it away for just the second time in this game. A low end over in punt and down deep, and beautifully done inside the 10 to stat punters want. Gets it there to keep the Ticats starting deep. Jacques Dussault, very influential coach and football figure in Quebec, and he too is honored with enshrinement into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. More on him coming up here from Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. First francophone coach in the history of the CFL, a career that spanned nearly 4 decades at just about every level, and so beneficial to the sport in the province of Quebec. Hall of Famer Jacques Dussault now with Matthew.
It's an honor to be next to the coach. We were just talking about it, 55 years in coaching, and I said, you deserve this award. And you were saying, I'm thinking about what that word deserve means when you're happy to get up every day and coach. So 55 years, what does this mean to you?
Don't insist too much on 55 years now. That's pretty tough. I cannot put words on it. The only thing that I know is that it gave me a great chance to see some of the people that I work with a long time ago, reacquainted a little bit, and to me that's priceless. Obviously, I felt that as the first French Canadian that I could not make a mistake, because they opened the door, and I didn't want that all of a sudden the next one say, we don't want another one with a funny accent who doesn't know what he's doing. So that was the little bit of pressure that I had, but the rest, I really enjoy it, you know.
But to be the first French Canadian, knowing that tomorrow, we were talking about the Caravan, the Rouge et Or will play in front of nearly 19,000 people, is being the first francophone coach in Canadian football. Is that part of your legacy? Is that the most important thing to you?
No, I think that what's important is that the French-speaking people in Quebec discovered the most beautiful team sport in the world. That's what is, to me, the most important thing. It shows you a lot of things, a lot of skills, not as a football player, but skills that you're going to have to use in life. You know, it means when you go down, you get up, you help your teammate. Now, you know, all those great values that, to me, other sports don't show.
Well said. Merci. Félicitations.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Congratulations to Jacques Dussault. Terrific career. Hall of Famer. And the Bombers get the ball back right just inside Hamilton territory after a 2-and-out by the Ticats, and Corey Vedvik punting from his end zone.
Yeah, just just say quickly, Jacques Dussault, one of the great gentlemen of the Canadian Football League. I've had the opportunity to talk to him many times over the years, and brilliant football mind, terrific coach, and even better human being. And when you look at the game of football at all levels in this country, I don't think there's any place that it has grown over the past few decades more than the province of Quebec. And Jacques' fingerprints are all over that. You look at new university programs, relatively speaking, at Laval, Montreal, Sherbrooke. He talked about opening the door. He certainly did.
Absolutely. Bomber football. Little fake, and Claris rolls right. He does take off and picks up a few yards to get it inside the Hamilton 50. Looks like about a 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 6 coming up here. And an opportunity now for Mike O'Shea's team after the defense stood up against Hamilton, forced them to punt from their end zone. So good field position as they're down by 13 points. And a Ticat offense that for much of this game has been relentless, putting pressure in effect on this Bomber offense to keep doing what it does. Buck Pierce, the offensive coordinator.
And what a tremendous job Buck Pierce has done in that role.
Here we go on a 2nd and 6. It's complete. And inside the 40 is shown. And that's good for a first down as this drive will continue for Winnipeg.
I think it's so easy for people to look at the Winnipeg offense and overlook Buck Pierce and say, well, yeah, of course, look at the players he's got. It's easy. Putting all those players in the right positions and keeping everybody happy. I think any coach will tell you, if it looks easy, it's because Buck is making it look easy.
Claris on first down, complete to Schoen again inside the 30. Kenneth George, Simone Lawrence in on the tackle there. It's close to another first down.
And the Tiger Cat defense with that short field under the tutelage of Mark Washington, a guy who, by the way, was coached by Jacques Dussault during his time in Montreal.
2nd and inches, flags come out after the Bombers got a first down and more with their short yardage QB Dakota Prukop. Helmet went a bit askew.
Offside. Hamilton, number 99. That penalty is declined. First down.
Gerard Hewitt inserted in the Ticat lineup. Whoops. A little sideways there for Prukop. Get his head on straight. They're getting that first down. Declining the penalty inside the 25 now. The 23, 1st and 10 on the toss left. Oliveira breaks a tackle, gets it down closer to the 20 for number 20, pushed out by Jamie and Elliott.
Yeah, short gain there. The Ticats were able to string that one out. Brady never really got his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. Talk about the relative inexperience of this Hamilton secondary with Adeleke and Leonard out of the lineup. Even Elliott listed as a third-year guy, but through his first 2 years in the league in Calgary, he had actually only played in 5 games. So under a full season in terms of game experience for him.
And you got George in his first year, and the boundary intercepted. Jameer Thurman. Or Malik Carney, excuse me, the defensive end dropping back. Intercepts Zach Claris in a big defensive play for the Ticats, and a good return by Malik Carney. He's known for his sacks. This time, he gets a pick. Playing it like a linebacker, and a good return too. Hamilton football. 29-16 lead.
Absolutely love what the Ticats did here defensively. You'll see Simone Lawrence rotates up to the end to rush. So Zach Collaros is thinking that this area is going to be vacated. It's going to be open. He can throw the ball there. But Malik Carney rotates back, and this is why Collaros doesn't see him. He's not expecting anyone to be there. Defensive end drops and gets right into that lane all the way over to the other side to make that play. Terrific defensive call that fooled a veteran quarterback.
First career interception for defensive end Malik Carney in his third year out of North Carolina. All the way up to the Ticat 49. And the Bombers were pressing to score again, so Taylor Powell back to work. Willie Jefferson in his face, but he gets it off complete to Tyreek McAllister, who gets it up across midfield, down to about the Winnipeg 53. And close to a first down. It'll be second and short coming up.
And therein lies the value of a guy like Tyreek McAllister.
That's for you, mama. See you up there.
You see Malik Carney is having a terrific season for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But McAllister, a guy you can get the ball to on an outlet. And so good with a little bit of space to go to work in the open field. Able to turn that into a nice gain.
It's a second and short, and Butler has it. Still driving, too, with Brandon Alexander finally able to wrestle him down. Sticks move. First down, Hamilton, with a 13-point lead past the midway point of the third quarter.
And if Hamilton can carry this lead into the fourth, obviously the Bombers are a team that, as they've demonstrated in this game, can strike from anywhere. But it takes the Bombers a little bit out of their comfort zone, which is leading into the fourth and running the ball down your throat to close it out.
Butler again hit a couple of times. Short pickup. Inside the 45. Used to be the Ticats were practically unbeatable at home early on for Orlando Steinauer, and they went 15-3 in 2019 his first year, but tough this season at home, 1-5, the only victory coming over the Ottawa Red Blacks. Then outscored at home 174-100, looking to turn that around in a big way against a team that over the last 3 years has been the best. They did it last year, trying to do it again. And that one caught nicely by Keandre Smith, with Demario Houston right with him. And down he goes on that completion at the Winnipeg 30.
Yeah, terrific grab there by the second-year man, Keandre Smith. The Bill Crothers High School. University of Guelph product. Going up to get this one along the sideline.
Come on now. Bring it back in. You ain't done. You ain't done. Let's go.
Great play by Smith, who had 4 catches for 40 yards last week in their victory over the Red Blacks, but not nicer than that. Throwing again and having to reach out for it is Sean Thomas Erlington, who gets up and keeps going. Finally, the whistles blow the play dead, but good work after the catch for the product of the Montreal Academy. Gets a first down, 2 for Hamilton, down to 16.
And keep an eye here on the linebacker, Kyrie Wilson. Watch how he's fooled by the action on this play. Thinks it's going run to the far side. He's pursuing way over there. That's what creates a little bit of space out to that boundary side for Sean Thomas Erlington.
Spot the ball at the Winnipeg 18. Here come the Ticats again, looking for more. Back in the red zone, Willie Jefferson sees Powell step up, try to take off. Reddick Cramley pushing him out of bounds. Right back at the close to the line of scrimmage, a flag coming out as well.
Good job. Good play. Good play. Good play. Good play. That's good there. They're good there. I didn't push him.
It came out after Cramdy pushed Powell. He was heading out of bounds.
Yeah, and I think the feeling, certainly from a Hamilton perspective, was that it was a shove.
Illegal contact. Hamilton number 1. Sorry, Winnipeg number 1. Half the distance of the goal. First down.
But that's on the boundary half. Dietrich Nichols for illegal contact.
Yeah, you could hear the officials saying to Cramdy, "You're good," because really what he drive him down.
And with that, just inside the 10 and a first down. First and goal. Ticat offense has been relentless on the day. All those scoring drives, they've only punted twice. And we are late in the third quarter. Taylor Powell swinging it out now to Butler. Rose couldn't get him. As he tries to hurdle Evan Holm, who pushes him out of bounds. Back just inside the 10.
Yeah, fooled the first defender, but wasn't able to trick the second one with the moves. You'll see, got Winston Rose to bite on the first move. Changes up the angle, gets around the corner, but Evan Holm caught him.
Second and goal, Winnipeg 9. And Hamilton add to the lead here. Powell, end zone. It's intercepted. So this time the Bombers answer back with a huge turnover to deny Hamilton from scoring. It is Evan Holm with an all-important interception, his second of the season. And just like Malik Carney denied Winnipeg, Holm denies the Cats. Still a 13-point game. Back in Hamilton and a big turnover for Winnipeg. Evan Holm with his second interception of the season to deny Hamilton from adding to their lead.
And you'll see Tim White here, the intended receiver. He's going to go corner and then back to the post, trying to get Holm to bite on the outside, but Holm doesn't overcommit, able to maintain inside position. Takes away any opportunity for Powell to complete that one. And you know, in the realm of this young quarterback who has demonstrated sort of this poised decision-making ability beyond his years in recent weeks, that time I think he got locked in on his favorite target.
And he knows it. And with that pick in the end zone, it comes out to the Bomber 30. 29-16 still. Late. Final minute. Third quarter. Colares. And that is complete. A short one over the middle for Dalton Schoen. Second and short coming up.
Yeah, quick hitter here. Watch Dembski come across the formation. He's going to go out into the flat, trying to open up a little room inside for Schoen. Pull a defender. Quick hitter there, but Stavros Katsantonis gets in with the wrap. Makes the tackle.
Dakota Prukop in. Short yardage, and he just doesn't want to go down. He's still on his feet. As he had the first down a long time ago, but he drives through about 7 or 8 more yards up near the Winnipeg 50.
Yeah, and Dakota Prukop has kind of become something of a specialist in this league as a short yardage quarterback, a package type guy, but doing it effectively. You get an indication why. He takes great pride in the role. He's had some success doing it. You need a little more air in the lid or tighten up the chin strap a little bit. But
I'm going to say first one was sideways, that one up a little bit. First and 10, Winnipeg 49 with time. Colares. Oh, up a bit high. Intended for Schoen. Simone Lawrence has an interception. Got deflected up. A little tip drill as the veteran linebacker Lawrence comes in.
if he kept this off the ground, we might have the defensive highlight of the year.
That's the end of the third quarter.
Saying no. We'll get another look at that. But they call three-quarter time as the Bomber offense stays on the field. The throw deflected up by Katsantonis. They're saying no catch now. Still though, heading to the final 15. Hamilton leads Winnipeg by 13 in the Hall of Fame game. Back in Hamilton, the Ticats think this should be an interception for Simone Lawrence off the deflection. Catches the ball, but you do see it touch the ground. The decision from the command center is this.
After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. Be second down.
So Lawrence back on the field as the Bombers linebacker to this one, and one of the best that the CFL has ever seen from the class of 23, Hall of Famer Soloman Elimimian, now the president of the CFL Players Association. But look at that resume. So impressive, too. The one that stands out is the MOP, first and only defensive player named the most outstanding player in the Canadian Football League. Solly, congratulations. We knew this was coming for a long time. What does it mean to you?
It means a lot. The Canadian Football League is very special to me and my family. Helped me through some tough times. Growing up in Los Angeles, and to have my family here, being recognized for your accomplishments, it's an honor. It's a blessing. I'm truly humbled.
You mentioned growing up, and tell us a little bit about what the game of football has meant to you, not just since you've been in the CFL, but throughout your life.
Yeah, growing up in inner city LA, obviously had a lot of challenges, and football was one thing that I clung to, the one thing that kind of gave me a purpose, gave me meaning, and I knew I was good at, and I just rolled it till the wheels fell off, and it helped me learn, it helped me become a great young man. So I'm forever grateful to God to bless me with the skills of playing football, and yeah, it's a great honor.
See Zach Collaros there with the throw, and this one is an interception for the Ticats, and the 3rd and 3 games for safety Stavros Katsantonis. So Hamilton, Taylor Powell coming back on the field, and they're at the 23. Well, remember Team 100 with the BC Lions. You wore 56 then, Adam Bighill 44, and I know it meant a lot playing with him, just as it meant a lot to him. He was, of course, here with the Bombers, and look at that photo taken as well of you. What's it meant in your career playing along with Adam Bighill?
It is fantastic. Adam is a great competitor and a great friend. And, off season, training with him and playing with him, we could compete against each other and we motivate each other. And I truly believe that I helped him get better just like he helped me get better. And that bond we had on the football field is a great bond off the football field. And Adam is still gone. He's a tremendous player. And I told him in 10 years or whenever he's ready to retire, he'll be up there and I'll be right next to him.
That's a lot of hardware in that picture, so. And so now the president of the Canadian Football League Players Association, so continuing to help other players. Tell me what's driven you to that? What is your motivation to get so involved with the union?
Well, the biggest thing is just how important Canadian football is, right? Not just for Canadian players, for American players, and making sure that continues, and making sure that, I leave it better than, that I found it, right? And being president, I can help the players, and I can also drive the vision of growth, off the field as well.
It was a short gain by Tim White. They picked up the flag, so it's a 2nd and long coming up here for Taylor Powell and the Ticats, joined up here in the booth by Hall of Famer Soloman Elimimian. Powell throwing in 2nd down, and that's complete. Gutman again with a touchdown in this game for the Cats, ridden out of bounds by the Mario Houston. Those years, when you look back, the tackling
he ripped and then he got to the quarterback. I didn't think it was good.
Like, what are you most proud of as you look back to your playing days?
There's no bigger high than football, and there's no bigger high than the adversity. Tearing my Achilles in 2015 after winning MOP, and reading in the pages that it's hard to come back from Achilles injuries, and motivated me. And I went back in the lab. My family was there for me. My friends was there for me, and I made it back. 2016 won Defense Player of the Year. So the adversity is a great thing because you get to prove yourself right, prove the people that love you right, and that's one thing that I will miss about playing football.
1st and 10 of the Ticat, 48 now. Hamilton with a 13-point lead. Early 4th quarter in a short game. James Butler.
Well, we got to take a look at some highlights. Do you remember some of these as you look at the plays?
Yeah, I definitely get goosebumps. How physical it is, and you miss it. You miss competing at a highest level.
Standing up against Chris Strebler there, and then with the Bombers, and of course the Grey Cup victory too in 2011 in a victory over Winnipeg. High point to be sure on a 2nd and 6, and that one falls incomplete as they got some heat on Taylor Powell again.
And I know the Hall of Fame, obviously this is a new experience for you, but have you had a chance to kind of reflect on it? As Rod mentioned, the only defensive player ever to be named MOP Like, we're not talking about a league that just started a few years ago. We're talking about a league over 100 years old, and you're the only guy to do that. What do you think?
It's amazing. You know, it's a testament to you know, God and my family, and I have tremendous teammates and coaches. The great Wally Bono, Mike Benavides, Mark Washington, who's the defense coordinator here today. You know, teammates, you mentioned Adam Big Hill, Dante Marsh, Corey Banks, Ryan Phillips, Travis, just so many players that I played with that were, you know, Hall of Fame caliber players, and you know, Hall of Fame men that taught me the game of football, right? And we competed with each other, and it was a true brotherhood. So I had all the ingredients to be successful, is what I tell people.
Punt by Vidvik, and the short return there by Jamal Parker. Hall of Famer Soloman, Elimimian. Thanks for joining us up here. Congratulations again.
So well deserved.
Inducted last night here at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. In the class of 2023, among the 7 enshrined permanently in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. We'll be back. The Hall of Fame game in Hamilton right after this. Another doubleheader here to wrap up Week 15. It's coming up next. BC Place in Vancouver. Ottawa Red Blacks perilous now for them after their loss at home to Hamilton last week up against the Lions. Second place, chasing Winnipeg, and I'm sure Lions fans taking interest in what has been going on here at Hamilton with the Ticats leading early and leading all the way so far. Zach Collaros in the second half, 4 for 9, just 49 yards. He's been picked off twice. And he's looking deep, left side, flag coming out through the hands of Brady Oliveira, and incomplete.
Yeah, Brady Oliveira, a guy who has a string of 100-yard rushing games this season, also has a 100-yard receiving game to his credit here in 2023. So can't be lulled to sleep by the idea that he's always going to be in the backfield.
Flag coming out after Collaros threw that ball. Starting back under 14.
Illegal contact. Hamilton, number 49. 10-yard penalty. Result is a first down.
Defensive end Trey Crawford called for the illegal contact, so good break for the Bombers there as it'll move up a first down near the 25.
Crawford coming from the top right corner of your screen. Stand up D end. Taking a shot at the receiver as he was attempting to release.
First and 10 on the move. Rasheed Bailey with a lot more up across the 45 and another first down as Bailey's fired up.
Yeah, and I love the touches that Rasheed Bailey gets in the running game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Again, so many receivers, one ball to go around that you may not catch quite as many passes as you want sometimes. But you can see that this is a guy who, when he gets an opportunity to touch the rock, however those touches come, he's relishing it and making the most of it.
Up to the 47 now. Kenny Lawler hit a touchdown in the first half. Little play fake to Oliveira. And coverage is there on Dembski. That was Elliott draped on top of him there to knock it away. A second down coming up.
Yeah, big defensive play there from Elliott. Free agent signee by the Ticats this offseason, as I mentioned earlier. Couple seasons in Calgary, but limited opportunity for him to get on the field with the Stampeders. Comes to Hamilton in a time where basically they were rebuilding their secondary. Veterans Jamal Roll, Carriel Brooks moving out of Steeltown, created an opportunity that Elliott has seized here.
Big second down, Winnipeg coming up from their 47. Collaros, he completes it to Dembski, but he gets it well shy of a first down, up across the 50, and a third down coming up for the Bombers. Jamison Sheehan in the punting unit comes on. Hamilton's defense done a very good job in this second half against Zach Collaros, who led an offense down the field quickly several times in that first half.
Yeah, tightening up and coming up with some very timely big plays of their own after being victimized in the opening 30 minutes.
Sheehan with the punch. And no yards called. Coverage going right in there on McAllister just as he caught the ball. So tack on 15 for Taylor Powell. Overall, impressive start. 13-point lead, fourth quarter in Hamilton. Beautiful day in Hamilton.
I'll give the new stuff a listen.
Okay.
But I'm a sympathy for the devil guy as far as the Stones go.
There you go. You like your old Rolling Stones?
Yes, sir. Yes, any of my former Calgary teammates will understand the significance.
You just keep going, don't you? James Butler stopped there by Jake Thomas. Back here at Tim Hortons Field, part one of a doubleheader, the Hall of Fame game, with Hamilton leading it. And second straight year, they are stunning the Bombers. Did it last year, 48-31. And trying to hang on and win this one. We get Red, Blacks, and Lions coming up after this. An impressive performance.
Yeah, it's already been a fantastic weekend of CFL football. Looking forward to having it continue with game 2 of today's doubleheader.
Just shy of the Hamilton 20. Second and 11, Taylor Powell. Getting pushed out of the pocket. Nowhere to go. He steps back up, though, and goes to his left, and he does throw it, and it is complete at the first down marker for Tyreek McAllister. Brilliant work there by Powell, who didn't seem to have any options, but found one anyway.
Yeah, and, you know, I don't want to overstate it, but there are plays that Taylor Powell is making now, after basically being the Ticats starter for a third of a season, that guaranteed he wasn't making a month ago. That you can just see the confidence growing in his game. Some of the decisions he makes, some of the throws that he makes. Where before he might have held on to that ball, tried to run and get what he gets instead of trying to thread the needle.
Back to Butler. Has some room inside, too, as he pushes that up near the 40. So in addition to that score, this Hamilton possession, you do start to pay attention a little more in a two-score game to that clock as we're winding our way through closer to the halfway point of the fourth quarter.
And James Butler looking to be hobbling a little bit as he heads to the sidelines.
Sean Thomas Erlington is the running back in for Butler. Big 2nd and 2 here for Hamilton. Is shy of the 40. And he is denied. He'll be shy of a first down, so an interesting third down will be coming up. They're still about a yard away now.
Yeah, watch for Adam Bighill, the veteran middle linebacker, to come shooting through and make the play here. Found a gap into the legs of the quarterback. You see Bighill coming from in behind, hits the gap, meets the running back, and stops him short.
And the punting unit does come on. 13-point lead, and they don't want to give Winnipeg any edges at all. As the pressure mounts on the Bombers, down by those 13 points. Bedvigan to punt it away, just outside the Hamilton 25. Jamal Parker back for it. Winnipeg without a point in the second half. Parker from the 23. And gets up across the 30, about the 32. Back comes Colares, a late flag on the field. And Winnipeg has some work to do. Light moment of chill. Ticats fans remember star running back C.J. Gable, who was there for 4+ seasons, 2013, and through some of the 2017 seasons. He's helping Pigskin Pete through the Oski Wee Wee. Their Coors Light moment of chill. A nice moment there for a talented running back in the CFL for years in C.J. Gable.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of the Ticats backfield with Jacques in the day as they went to the Grey Cup game in 2014.
Bombers, after a penalty, start in better shape across the 45. Oh, is that intercepted again? It is. Kenneth George with it. Third pick thrown by Zach Colares.
those worries about the young guys in the Hamilton secondary, but one of those rookies, Kenneth George, comes up with the pick here. It's Collaros under pressure, and you saw Brady Oliveira, the intended target, slipped as he goes down. The ball sails over his head. George finds himself in the right place at the right time. Ticats gifted the ball at the 45-yard line of the Blue Bombers.
By 13, 6:31 and counting on the clock in the fourth quarter. And a great opportunity for the Ticats to put this away if they can find the end zone again. Pressure's coming, ball is out. Ball's out, and it's in no one's hands yet. Yes, it is now. Brandon Alexander with it as it rolled around. And a late flag comes out. So once again, we see a team forcing a turnover and quickly giving it back. Winnipeg football in the Hamilton zone after they brought the heat on Taylor Powell.
Yeah, you're going to see all sorts of pressure come. Eventually, it's Kyrie Wilson who supplies the hit. But you've also got Brandon Alexander coming on the safety blitz from the outside. It's going to contain that. 2 rushers, 1 blocker. Didn't get the inside guy. So Wilson's got a short line to get there.
After the play, we have a 10-yard misconduct foul on Winnipeg number 37. The Winnipeg ball, first down.
You saw Tyreek McAllister in the backfield, part of that protection scheme. He's got 2 rushers coming. You've got to take the inside guy, the guy who has the shortest line to the quarterback. He opts to take Alexander, who is on the outside, leaving Wilson with the short line to get there. Then you'll see McAllister in protection. 2 guys come outside of him. Takes the outside one.
So back to Winnipeg now. Collaros, who had 3 intercepted on his previous 7 attempts, completes 1 there to Nick Dembski up near a first down. They had been pushed back 10 yards after the Alexander recovery. 37 was penalized in the celebration.
Winnipeg looking to go tempo here a little bit. 2nd and short.
And throwing on that 2nd down. Completing it 2. Coming back for the ball is Dalton Schoen. Around the Ticat 45. First down, Winnipeg. Clock ticking down towards 5 minutes. Under 5.5. They work tempo. And needing the end zone soon.
Yeah, good timing on the tempo call, just with that quick change of momentum back and forth.
Looking to the left and wide open and caught by Schoen inside the 30. Bomber offense quickly moving down the field now, really for the first time this half after a tremendous first half.
Yeah, Hamilton rotating a couple of fresh bodies in defensively here.
Quickly over the ball again. 4:50 on the clock. 1st and 10. Little pump fake. Collaros buys himself some time, rolling to the right and throws it, completes it to Kenny Lawler down near another first down, a couple of yards shy. Just inside the 20. As they keep working tempo.
Yeah, quick look at Zach on the moves. He zings this one out there.
Collaros back again. Coming back and catching it is Lawler again down around the 10. Another first down on that 2nd down and short conversion. And spotted at the 11-yard line, and a 1st and 10 coming up here for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and Winnipeg is, we've seen them nickel and dime a little bit on this particular drive. Receivers doing a terrific job coming back to the football, helping out their QB.
Working fast. Brady Oliveira breaks through inside the 5. Gets a little help from his old lineman, pushing him down to a 2nd and short, right around the 3 or 4 yard line. And there they are, back over the ball quickly again. Oliveira again, 3-2-1. And no signal. It'll be a It'd be a first down. They had to get to the 1, so this would be a 1st and goal.
Well, this was nearly disastrous for Winnipeg after they've marched down there. You see Collaros never had a handle on that football. Oliveira kind of snatched it out of the air as the QB was juggling the snap.
And they signal a touchdown for Winnipeg. Zach Collaros had stayed in the short yardage, and a flag did come out.
Hamilton, number 30. That penalty be declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
So that was fast. Katsantonis called an offside, but very quick running tempo all the way down the field, capped off by the Zach Collaros touchdown.
Yeah, and you have to like the timing of that decision to go tempo given the circumstance. Hamilton on their heels a little bit with that swing back and forth in the possession, and then the execution of that tempo offense nearly flawless by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
So Castillo is on to make this a 6-point game with this point after try. Very quickly after the fumble was forced by Kyrie Wilson and recovered by Brandon Alexander, Collaros in the offense get it down and into the end zone for a much-needed touchdown in a one-score game. It's back to a 6-point difference with Hamilton still leading.
And take a look at this touchdown drive. Then receivers working back to the ball, making themselves available for their quarterback. There's Schoen coming back. Had Lawler coming back for one along the sidelines after Schoen picks up the first down. Earlier in this game, it was all about the big play. But here it was high percentage, nickel and dime, just running that tempo offense to perfection, preserving time as we get late in this ball game. Now, Rod, you look at the score, 6-point game. Remember back to that 3-point swing, where Winnipeg missed an extra point in the first half. Tyreek McAllister returned it the other way for 2 points. So now we're looking at a 6-point game where they could have been looking at a situation where they just needed a field goal to tie. Well, now the Blue Bombers need a touchdown because of that missed extra point.
Looming a lot larger now, but it was an 8-play, 58-yard drive in under 3 minutes. And they are within 6 as McAllister has it in his hands again. Tyreek McAllister, and he is taken down quickly. Charging in on special teams, Johnny Augustine with a big tackle as Powell and the offense coming back on again. Product of the University of Guelph, Johnny Augustine.
Yeah, backup running back. Augustine doing a terrific job for the Bombers on special teams. Had over 50 yards rushing last week, spelling Grady Oliveira in the second half of that ball game in the backfield as well. Underrated player in this league.
Getting down near the 3-minute warning in this fourth quarter. What drama do we have in store now? Winnipeg getting closer. Big possession, Ticats here in their zone, and a good tackle of Butler. In there is Retta Crandy, the strong side linebacker. Hall of Fame game, and another look at the 7 new inductees, the class of 2023. Congratulations to them all, immortalized here at Tim Hortons Field in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Coming up, BC Place, Vernon Adams, the Lions, coming out of a bye after he got a victory in his old stomping grounds in Montreal a couple of weeks ago. Javon Santos Knox, the Ottawa Red Blacks, Lucky Whitehead, the Lions. And these two teams, there's Nate Bahar, these two teams, well, they have an interest in the outcome of this game, of course, but they have a bigger concern right now as they get ready. John Bowman, one of the 7 Hall of Famers back in Vancouver to coach that BC defensive line after he was enshrined here last night. So here's Taylor Powell. Last time out, he was hit. It forced a fumble, and the Bombers took it in for a touchdown to close the Ticat lead down to 6. It's a 2nd and 7 for that short gain by James Butler. 2:48 on the clock. The Bombers lost here in the Hall of Fame game in Hamilton last year. They haven't won in Hamilton in regulation since 2017. Didn't talk about it too much in the week leading up, but a few players brought it up. They know all about it. Powell, 2nd and 7, rolls out. Had a big completion for a first down to Omar Bayless. He had a touchdown in week 1 against Winnipeg in Winnipeg, but on special teams, just his 2nd to start as a receiver with the Ticats.
And nice play call here as they bring Tyreek McAllister into the box. It becomes a two-back protection. Butler on the front side of that as they roll it out. Shorten up the throw. McAllister blocking on the backside. Scott Milanovic continuing to put his quarterback in a position to be successful.
Up across the 35. Hamilton Tiger Cats trying to do it to Winnipeg again in the Hall of Fame game. Final minutes. Butler. He keeps pushing after contact and gets it up near the 40, so a pick up of 4 yards, a 2nd and 6 coming up, and these second downs just keep getting bigger for both sides as Winnipeg needs a stop. And Hamilton would love nothing more than to kill a lot more time on the clock, keep that offense on the field.
Yeah, try and grind it out as best as they can with James Butler, high percentage passes like you saw in the last second down play. Try and keep that clock moving.
Both teams coming off wins last week. The Ticats, who have 5 wins on the year, trying to make it 3 in 4 weeks. And the hurdle there from Butler on the second down play doesn't get much. 3rd down coming up. They're going to have to kick it away.
And not much there. Up the middle on second down for the Tiger Cats. They opted to stay conservative with that particular second down play. The result is punting it back to the Bombers with all sorts of time for Zach Collaros.
Mike O'Shea hasn't been overly thrilled with their return game since the injury to Janarian Grant, who was lights out. Had Greg McRae for a while and going with Jamal Parker now, but if ever they needed a Janarian Grant-like return, now would be a good time for Winnipeg with Vedvik to punt it. Just outside his 30. And sending it right. And Parker. And the no-yard penalty is coming up. Carthel Flowers Lloyd was in that 5-yard restraining zone, so tack on 15 yards. Collaros comes out, and they do have plenty of time. 21 career game-winning drives, and he has a chance now. Under 2 minutes to go, 1:40 on the clock. They need a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a costly 15 under the circumstances. Basically, you look at the time on the clock, and that's saving Winnipeg a couple of plays is basically what that penalty is doing.
Another dramatic finish in the Canadian Football League. Winnipeg down, 4-man rush. Collaros, nowhere to go, they got him. Collaros goes down. Craig Crawford was in there. And Casey Sales, too. And what a time for a sack. 2nd and long coming up Winnipeg.
Yeah, watch Crawford coming from the right side of that defensive line towards the top of your screen. He and Sales, the next man inside. I think it was Sales with the bull rush that maybe got to the ankles of the quarterback.
Throwing? No. In and out of the hands of Rasheed Bailey. A low throw as Bailey was down. And we're down to 3rd and long coming up.
Tiger defense has been big in this second half and continuing here. That one with Bailey going to the turf, you could see hit the shoulder pads before he was able to get his hands on it. Hard surface leads to a hard bounce. Wasn't able to control the football.
Fans on their feet at Tim Hortons Field. Ticats want some noise. 3rd and 15. This is it for the Bombers. 1:25 on the clock. 4-man rush. Steps up and heaves it deep. Into coverage. Deflected off, incomplete. And the Ticats, with a 6-point lead, will take over on downs.
Defensive line again supplying the pressure. You can see the Ticats are set to only go with a 4-man rush. They'll give up anything underneath with 15 yards to go. Flores tries to push it deep. He's had a lot going to Dembski, but Katsantonis, Lawson in on the play on the ball. Fortunate the deflection didn't go in the direction of Nick Dembski, who was in behind them.
And the Bombers are facing their second loss in 3 games with one absolutely dominant victory in between. Ticats, as mentioned, try to finish off their 3rd win in 4 games. 1:16 on the clock. They run it. James Butler just inside the Winnipeg 40. It was 3 weeks ago in Vancouver. The Ticats went in as underdogs and they beat the BC Lions, came home on Labor Day Monday and lost to the Argos, and on 3 days rest beat the Red Blacks last week in Ottawa. Their 5th win, getting up to 5-7 and looking to tie the Montreal Alouettes in the East Division standings. The Owls do have the tiebreaker, mind you, winning the season series so far, taking both games, but still this would be to tie them with 12 points in the East. He gets it inside the 30. Looks like another first down for Hamilton. Killing that clock in the final minute.
Outstanding run here from James Butler. You watch how this sprint action kind of gets the defense going sideways, opens up some gaps. Butler picks his gap, turns it north, and watch the legs continue to drive for positive yards. A 3rd and short situation where the Cats are obviously going to go for it.
24 years of age, Taylor Powell. As Kyle Loxley comes in, 3rd down and inches. The clock ticks, 35 seconds to go. Long count Loxley. And pushes, second effort, should be enough to put this game to bed.
Here we get a great look at Loxley, getting just what he needs. Haba slipping into the backfield, but couldn't get enough of him. Just a yard to go.
Intense young man. And as you talked about, it seems when we talked to him, mature beyond his years as Loxley comes out. Sticks come in just to confirm this is a first down. As it is by half of the ball. Well, they can start to celebrate now for sure. 24 seconds. They hang on to the football. And they're about to win for the 3rd time in 4 games. Get up to 6 and 7. And Willie Jefferson and the Bombers still first in the West Division, but faced with, for the 2nd straight year in the Hall of Fame game, being beaten by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Victory formation.
And you see the youngster Taylor Powell. This is a guy who bounced around 3 different universities in his college career, and he talked to us this week about how that experience really helped prepare him for this, needing to learn new systems quickly, needing to be able to adapt to new situations fairly quickly, adjust to whatever's thrown at you. And it served him well here in his rookie season with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Back-to-back wins.
Great year, Dwayne Ford. On the Hall of Fame game, the underdog Ticats beat the favorite Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This time with a rookie quarterback, Taylor Powell, and a defense that really rose up in the second half. The Bombers, after ruling the Banjo Bowl, have lost 2 of their last 3. Still in first, but we do have the Lions and the Ottawa Red Blacks coming up. Zach Calera still has a lot of friends from his Hamilton days.
A terrific competitive game on both sides. So the Hamilton Tiger Cats just had a little more left in the second half than did the Bombers.
Let's head down to the field now. Matthew Shinetti with Hamilton quarterback Taylor Powell.
Taylor, as long as I've known you, I know you're very to the point, and I know what this game means to you. And I saw a lot of energy there after victory formation. What does this win mean?
It's been up and down season. I'm just really proud of our guys, man. It's been a hell of a season. Hey, brother. It's a journey, man, and a lot to be thankful for.
You came up to me during the game saying you get nervous when Zach Collaros has the ball. He just came over and gave you props to be in a back-and-forth battle, especially in that first half with a quarterback like that. How does that help your education?
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, man. It's not fun going against him. You know, it's one of those Mahomes-Allen battles, and I think he's a heck of a player, and obviously I'd love to be half the player he is.
3 wins in the last 4 weeks. Before you guys went to Vancouver and beat the BC Lions, Orlando Steinauer said he saw things turning. He saw momentum shifting. What did you see?
I see guys that just show up and chop wood and carry water, man, and just be consistent. Results don't matter, process does. It's tough to say in this business, but when you stay true to the process, things happen. Just be a good person. That's kind of what's happening.
Appreciate this. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
And alongside David Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Siegel, and thrilled to be joined now on set by Tim White. Tim, congratulations on the humongous victory, taking down the Winnipeg Blue Bombers once again at Tim Hortons Field. Just talk about the game itself. Obviously, it came out with a hot start. Defense was critical in the second half, but overall, a great victory.
Yes, that was a complete game all around as Ticat football. That's how we look to play. And our offense, we did it. We pushed down the field early. We got points on the board. And then our defense showed up and created a lot of turnovers.
Last week, we were marveling at every time they went to you, you were either open because you were shaking them off the line, or you were making contested catches. Something clicking, and what's been the change last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the addition of Scott has been a great thing. And then, I mean, obviously, if you look at Taylor, how he's been playing, you know, dicing the ball over the field, spreading the ball around, just going up and making plays for myself, you know, that's just what I look to do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to go and question you about your young quarterback. You've had to play with several this year, and it's settling down with Taylor Powell, and it seems like he's getting a grasp of the game. Y'all, the last 4 weeks, have been on fire together. Is that something y'all are working on during practice more often?
Definitely. I mean, we created a mentality early on, and we're just looking to build off of that and execute every play that's called.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Taylor and what he's like in the huddle and how he is as a leader?
He keeps his composure. You know, it doesn't seem like any situation rattles him much, so he just looks to go for the kill whenever he sees it, and we just feed off of that.
Beginning of the season, I had you being the lead receiver in the CFL. Early on, you were letting me down, Tim. I just want to let you were letting me down. But these last 5 weeks, I don't know if they would made a concerted effort to say, we got to get this man the ball. Was anything said, or was it just organic thing, knowing that you can make plays when you got the ball in your hand?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. You know, I think once Scott came here, you know, the first game he was here, I had a lot of targets there. And I just look to make every single play that's there, you know, and I feel like I could do that every time.
Did you say anything to him, or did you just keep your mouth shut and let things happen?
I just let it play out.
Okay, all right.
You know, look at these East standings now with the loss from the Montreal Alouettes last night. You guys are now tied with them. I mean, looking forward, getting momentum at the right time, especially the last 2 games. How do you see the end of this season going for the Tiger Cats leading into the postseason, knowing that the Grey Cup is on this field?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a great feeling right now. You know, we look to battle every single game we're out here. We look to win every time we're on our field. So hopefully we'll be here, you know, late in the season.
Lots of conversations going on out there. It seemed like a little chippy, or at least some chatting going on. There's some stuff going on with you in the secondary back there?
Oh, right there, actually, no. You know, I feel like there wasn't much to say right there, no.
Well, you know, I want to talk to you about your track accolades. I'm a track guy, former track guy.
Milt thinks he can beat you in the triple jump.
I can't beat you in the triple jump, but I'll get you in the mile. We're going to race in the mile.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Do you still miss it sometimes?
I do, all the time. You know, I want to get out there and jump. I mean, a few weeks back, I did the triple jump in the end zone. You know, it's just something that I love to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and speaking of it, Eric Streeter used to do that as a celebration dance, and an ex-teammate of mine. He's a triple jumper. And are you going to put that into your repertoire?
I might. You know, I didn't even know that, so that's a good thing to know now.
Yeah, we want to see it.
Yeah, I got you.
Is there anything in your rubber? I watched all your receptions and targets last week, and just it seems like you found some tempo with your waggle. Guys are trying to get their hands on you. You're swimming them and getting a lot of separation. Is there something, timing-wise or feeling-wise that you're sinking into here at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every time it's late in the season, you start to get into a rhythm. I feel like that's where I'm at right now, where I'm just in a rhythm, and I feel like I can't be stopped. And I just look to compete every single week and not be stopped.
It
honestly.
looks like you can't be stopped.
Yeah, you talk about this time of year. This time of year, usually your legs are going. Looks like yours are just getting going.
Yeah.
What is that? Are you doing something different? Have you changed anything? What is
just
it?
Relaxing, man. Make sure I get the proper rest. Make sure I'm showing up and just feeding my body the right nutrients.
Living right, huh?
Yeah.
Tim,
definitely.
really appreciate you joining us. Congratulations on the monster victory, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
All right, let's get back to Matthew Shinetti, standing by with Malik Carney.
Malik, well, when we went in at halftime, it was an offensive explosion, and then the defenses came out, and they made some big plays. What did you guys say to each other at halftime?
In a complete game, it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be adversity. Some days offense might have it, some days defense might have it, some days special teams might have it. But if we keep competing and we stay together, that's what winning is about.
What's the vibe in the locker room right now, especially after a win like this?
Well, I got to get in there first and see what it's like, but I know it's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of energy. But, next play, next game, moving forward.
You now face the Toronto Argonauts, who have sealed the East Final. You guys are now pushing on the Alouettes for that East semi. Does it feel like the playoff push has already started?
Yeah, it's been started. And next game, man, I'm ready for them boys, and I'm sure they're going to be ready for us, so let's compete.
Thanks for this.
Yes, sir.
Well, John Bowman, one of the newest members of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, back to his full-time job in BC. We're going to tee up the Red Blacks and the Lions. Coming up next, it's the second half of our doubleheader on TSN.